Hey guys, this is Dave with BTM Reviews. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm doing good. Man, that intro's so mellow. It's like, man, I need somebody to scream BTM Reviews, Theory Thursdays, or BTM Reviews, whatever, in the song. Uh, no, I like it. That's my own creation, except for the music, of course, because I don't do music. Uh, but the app that I use to make all of the panels, they have music that you can use, and it's part of the deal. So that's where I got that from. Tonight we're going to talk about, I don't know yet. Jim's supposed to tell me, but Jim's trying to put a 2-year-old to bed. uh I he texts me, goes, I'll be a little late. He won't go to sleep. I'm like, yeah, I got you, man. We'll hang out till you get here. I think it's going to be Annunaki or end of the world stuff. Maybe both. Maybe the chat has something they want to share. We could go over that. That'd be fun. Chat always has good ideas. How you doing, Stimulated?
Good, brother. How are you? How's the chat?
I'm
Chat's looking great.
I'm glad. I'm glad you gave up the Hollywood Cynic thing.
Yeah, I was only going to do it for a week after I was told the local news, and it was also to troll somebody. They got
Oh,
real
okay.
pissed because I had it as my name.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
what's up, Mordred? How are you, buddy? Hi, hi, Kevin. What's up, Dan? Yeah, we're gonna. Jim, I think, wants to. I don't know what he wants to watch. I usually leave the theory stuff up to Jim to pick because he just asked what I wanted to talk about. I said, "Well, that's what you always do." He goes, "Yeah, but I'm trying to make a thumbnail." I said, "No, make it." I said, "I like both topics. I like end of the world stuff.
Yeah.
The theories about how the world could end because we have no control over it, right? Uh, we sure
Kevin
ain't
already
we sure ain't controlling the weather."
out the gate.
Well, now they
Uh,
know. Now they know they
uh,
can do it, right?
yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
uh, yeah. So
You know what my vote was for, right?
yeah.
I mean, crop
Mm-mm.
circles, man. The crop circle stuff. We've got to do it one day. It's so
I
fucking
know
interesting.
some of it is, and some of it's completely fake. We know that, right? But
Yeah, the
some
Y
of
files. I know the chat's sort of mid on the Y files sometimes, but that's a really good episode.
hmm
That is a very good episode.
Can
Ask
we
a
just
leftist.
keep the stream to you, Jim, and Cynic, and possibly Julio? Well, I don't know, man. I like having guests on. I love a low watermark. Uh,
I like Mark.
he's,
Mark's good people.
he's fun.
Yeah.
He he's just one of those guys that wants to get to know why people like Dane think like they do. He doesn't think that way. He just where does this mentality come from? And it's not possible to ever find out because they're so dishonest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's literally brainwashing, man. It's brain rot.
Mhm.
They've suckled at the CNN teat and the whatever lefty news that they read, and they never once thought to be, you know, use their own mind and try to read it without any bias, right? Or research anything. They're just spoon fed this shit, and now they're too lazy to have critical thinking. David keeps sitting.
Mostly, I mean, no salty. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say no Nick. Uh,
Mm.
but last night, Salty was talking about his drawing that EVS is going to be using, right, for the trading card.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Uh, that's what Salty said last night. Well, tonight, Ethan said that's going to be his third cover now
Ooh,
instead of a trading card. Pretty cool, right?
that's yeah, that's big promo for him, man.
Yeah,
That's
hell
big
yeah, it
promo.
is.
So, well, I
So,
mean, I saw EVS on Twitter today talking about trying to calm down the trash and start lifting up smaller creators and stuff like that. And it's a good thing, especially if you want CG to grow. I mean, it's not going to grow if it's just four guys at the top. You know, like everybody claims it is. So
Well, I don't know about that, man. There's always uh people below, right? Like
yeah.
CG, not those four guys at the top. What do they all have in common?
Oh, they all work for
The
mainstream
mainstream,
comics.
right? They
Yeah.
they have they have a they kind of have a name brand already. CG is the name brand for like me, right? I'm nobody, but I get in with CG and people help and they talk about your stuff and you sell what you sell. It's not. I don't talking about the trash. Yeah, that just gets boring. I get
Yeah,
that,
it
but
does.
I don't think Ethan needs to prop up other people uh, in CG unless he feels like it. It's not his job. Is my point. It's nobody's job. It's the creator's job to sell their stuff and make good stuff. And if it catches the right person's eye and I feel like talking about it, well, good on you. You did a damn fucking good job.
Yeah, if you can get a little bit of promotion, then you've got good work. Good work
Right.
is going to outshine every time.
The work is going to draw the people to say, "Hey, yeah, come on my show, man. I want to talk about
Yep.
that or whatever." But not if it's and also, uh, like we were talking about last week. Don't claim you're part of a group and then bitch because a book didn't make as much as you thought it was going to make, and then say the group sucks.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's just
Okay,
sour grapes. And
yeah, it's
I,
it's a ridiculous statement, right?
what I don't get though is all these guys. They're grown ass men, and we were talking about something just before the show, right? When something happens, you have two options, and my usual option is to just walk away. Just okay, that didn't work. Forget it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna waste any more energy or effort on it. These guys just keep bitching and moaning and whining and crying, and I'm like, "Bro, if I had a monicum of your artistic talent, I would just do the work. Let it
uh,
speak for itself or for itself, you know?"
ouch. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is kind of like, guys, it's over. Move on to the next thing. Just keep
Yeah,
going. Keep going. Every
yeah.
day is a new day. I mean, like I have a conversation with a company in the summer. They want to buy sewing machines. I talked to them last week at the trade show,
Mhm.
and they're going with another company.
What can you do?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Am I gonna say to them, where, where, uh, where? I did a demo for you and everything. Uh, we have the best equipment in the world. Where? And then they're
yeah,
like, yeah, whatever. This guy, our IT department likes their software. Okay, I can't fight that
yeah.
argument. That's not for me to do. Uh,
I mean, that's the best thing to do is ask, like, "Hey, what's the reason why?" Right? And if you get an answer, then you take that in, that
and
that
they gave me the
advice.
answer straight up. They did a demo with our competitor in another state, and
Mhm.
and when they did that demo, they got all their software calibrated to that equipment, and now they don't want to try something else because it's
They're
work.
used to it.
It's
Yeah.
it, they're not even used to it, dude. They did it for like four fucking machines.
Oh,
These
they
guys
just don't wanna they don't wanna have to swap the machines over.
they're gonna do it. They're buying hundreds of machines,
Yeah.
uh, and they're worried, like literally, it's it for our software. Uh, First of all, our software is not proprietary, meaning if I do mapping with my machine, I can send that data to any fucking uh, in-house GIS system you have straight to your cloud. Don't have to download anything at all. We just write a fucking script and it goes straight to your version of your software.
Yeah.
Unlike our competitors, who they're going to have to download and do all this funky bullshit, and their machine sucks. So they'll be back. They always come back. That's the best part. All these companies, they want to try something new, even though they've been using ours for 35 fucking years, right? They'll try
Oh,
it.
yeah.
They'll buy 50 of them. They'll have more damages than they could imagine because their machines just don't work as well as ours. And they'll be like, "Yep, Dave, well, that discount I offered you, you ain't getting that discount no more, bitch. Make me
Kick
wait.
rocks. Fuck
Kick
that.
rocks, dog." Ugh. But my point is, I'm like, I could go to the my manufacturer and say, you guys fucked this up. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't make this happen for us. You know what they say? Dude, we're nation. We're global. we don't have to worry about one guy in fucking Illinois. Are you kidding me?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Always come. Well, always come back with you, Dave.
Oh, comeback. Hey, man, a good comeback. It makes the day go by better.
There is no race or trans card in life, dude. That's all made up bullshit too. People are fucking assholes. Whether they're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, people are weird in all forms of life, and you run into them all the time, dude. Even in my business, I rolled up to meet a landscaper. His name was fucking George or something like that, and he was playing girl. I was like, no.
Hey, Dave.
Oh, dude, and he was like 50-something years old, and it just okay.
No, those are the worst ones, right? It's like, man, what have you been doing for all these years, and you decided to just go buy a dress?
Well, no, it was worse. Like he was wearing like landscape clothes, but he had makeup on and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, man.
I picture him. You've seen those pink Timberlands? I picture him having those on out there cutting grass and shit.
He's so, he's the owner of the place too, so it's just like, okay, man. And I think we were around the block from Michael Jordan's house.
Yeah.
And he said he cuts Jordan's lawn too, and takes care of his landscaping, all that shit. Like, wow.
My God.
But when I told him the price of a locator, well, that's pretty expensive.
Well.
Okay. You're cutting Michael Jordan's grass. I bet you don't do it for the same price you charge Maria and fucking Cicero, buddy. So they didn't buy. Thank goodness. I don't have to go back there and train them 2 or 3 times and not laugh.
You when you were in the truck and you pulled up and saw him, did you get a chuckle in before you got out?
Dude, I didn't even know. I get out of the truck and I'm walking around and say, I'm looking for George, and
just blindsided.
Yeah, George. No. Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah. I think you don't have that down here very much. I don't think I've ever.
Dude,
I've seen more. I've seen more Elvis impersonators than I've seen that.
I don't see it here like that much. I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't see that shit. And when you do see it, it's not 50-year-old weirdos. But I guess when you look at YouTube, there's a lot of 50-plus-year-old weirdos that think they're girls now.
There's a lot of them.
Right?
It's wild, man. I just don't. How do you go your whole life and then you're in your 50s and you go, yeah, I think I'll slap a dress and some bolt-on boobies. And
is it real though? Or are they just making that shit for TikTok because nobody knows who they are and they're just having a laugh?
I don't think George is doing it, right?
No,
but like a lot of the people online, I think there's definitely some of those out there
some
doing
fuckery
it
going on there, right?
Yeah.
And it's also making it easier for vulnerable people to see these people act this way and think that's the way they should go.
Yeah.
Right? Mentally unstable people.
Yeah, well, I was reading something one time, and I forget what it was, but it was some scientific paper crap about like cultural, basically like culture, a whole group of people go insane at one time. It's like cultural insanity or something because like sees like, and they see the attention, and it's sort of domino effects. And I think that's what we're running into, just a bunch of crazy people.
Last Sunday, I didn't ask.
I am late.
Oh, we already explained to the chat that you have a 2-year-old. Good luck.
I told him you were out driving your Ferrari 100 miles per hour with a blonde. That's what I said. But
Quit
Dave shouted me down.
giving your kid caffeine past 4 o'clock in the afternoon, dude.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't
Quit
give him caffeine at all.
giving
He's
him
a
Mountain Dew
parent?
in his baby bottle, Jim.
Oh,
That's what my parents did.
Oh, dude. We never gave our kids anything, mainly but water and milk. That's
I think it's too much juice is what it is. I think it's the sugar and the juice.
sugar in the juice. Yeah, you got to stop the juice like at noon because they'll fucking be wired all day. Plus,
You
the
see it
shit
down
back
here
in
all
the
the
teeth.
time. Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, I remember the doctors even told us when we brought home the baby, they said, "Don't give your kid anything but formula in their crib because anything else other than water, it will rot their teeth out." And I had a buddy that I grew up with, and his parents gave him real milk in a bottle, and his fucking teeth were bad, just stained bad. And he said that's what it's from, just being an infant. Even though you lose the baby teeth, I guess it just gets in there. I don't know. Hey, how you doing, Jim?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I knew somebody who gave her kid Gatorade all the time, and it rotted their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah,
wasn't me. Wasn't nothing like
No.
that. I'm just saying I knew a person. I was like,
I bet the guy had a mullet. I'm giving my boy Gatorade to be good at the footballs.
no, it was a girl.
Oh, that's even
Yeah.
worse because I bet she had a terrible mullet then.
She probably didn't know, dude. Like nobody tells people a lot of shit. Like,
Oh, that's
I mean,
what I was gonna say a second ago.
Trying
You
to say,
see
like,
a lot
oh,
of
that's good. What do you mean it's good for them? It's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave.
it's easier to fucking have a baby than it is to get a driver's license.
you see a lot of young moms down here giving their like 2 and 3 year olds baby bottles full of Mountain Dew. I'm like, you're just living up the stereotype, woman. Please
Mhm.
stop.
Don't do that
Please,
shit.
please quit that shit. Give that baby water.
If you're gonna put a little soda in there, it's like 1 part water, 1 part soda, 8 parts water. Just a little flavor.
Yeah.
First of all, if you put fucking straight soda in a bottle, the shit's fizzy and it shoots out of the tip and it goes
Yeah.
everywhere. It's
Yeah,
not
I've had that. I've had that shit happen before. I got my tip all fizzy and it went everywhere. It's crazy.
Yes, moms are the worst.
All right.
Hey, what's up, Chris Bacon? How are you, sir? You heard EVS say that he's going to make Salty's art 3rd cover for Elephant, right,
What
Jim?
the fuck, dude? These people are. You know what?
What, Jim? What, Jim? Jim, are you? No, hold on, Jim. Are you not going to buy it?
No, he's got to. He's got to have the full. He's a completist, man.
He's a
Jim-
complete look at it.
I feel like I'm being taken advantage of now.
What did you say? Think we could get these fools to dig gold for us, buddy?
You know, some people are digging gold, and it ain't me.
No, you're supplying it to them, though.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
It's like an addiction, man.
You saw,
of all-
you saw that thing I posted for that bill from CGC, right?
I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah. How'd you like my idea though? Ziploc bags, staples. I'm gonna double bag them, right? And then I'm gonna write on the front of it in Sharpie marker what the grade is. Good idea, right?
Oh, is that AGC?
Yeah, AGC, that's it. Jim's already gonna give me an investment, and we're gonna start it in the 3rd quarter of next year. It's gonna be great.
Hmm.
What's this
Double
I hear? We're
bag
going to have a second Alabama on tonight.
Nope,
Second
not tonight.
Alabamian.
Not
He's,
tonight.
he's gonna go on the Jack show,
Oh,
which is weird because I thought I just saw John Malin and Shane on Kings.
well, this ain't Kings. That's I don't know what young trash cast, old
No, he changed the name.
Comic Skate Live. I don't know.
Live, yeah.
Who's this other Alabamian that you speak of?
I don't know. Someone told me something about something.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nobody.
Nothing. Nobody? Okay.
Somebody that you can fucking smash pissers with.
Oh, what about his turd cutter? How's that looking?
Hey, if that's what you're into, go for it.
You
Okay.
can ask him.
I'll ask. How's that turd cutter down there, boy?
Oh man, no, he said to come on tonight or tomorrow night. but he's doing a Jack show tonight. I guess Ethan's going to host a Jack show also.
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to his show. I was doing something else.
No, because I heard him talk about they're going to do it on Jack show because it's the closeout for Malin's book tonight. You guys
I thought he closed it out
tonight.
No, tonight's his book's closing out
at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so it's Graham Nolan's book.
Yeah. So, and John Malin is pissed. He's like, God damn it. We all talked about spreading this shit out. I went the full 60 days, and now somebody launches on Tuesday. Ethan closed on Tuesday. And now Graham and closing on the same day as me. He goes, nobody's actually paying attention to this stuff. And it does affect their numbers, Jim. I mean, you can't support everything.
Especially this time of year. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
I guess
Christmas
I'm gonna
is
have
right around the corner, so
I'm gonna have to start like some kind of I don't know, some kind of like a diary or something to keep track of what I buy, because
it would be a good
idea.
idea.
You kind of have that on Indiegogo. There is a
I know, but no, because I don't buy everything on Indiegogo. I also buy stuff from people's stores.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that.
Okay.
So then, like, I like triple bought all the stuff from our Aaron Lepresti. So I've got like three
sets
of the older stuff, not the new stuff, the old stuff.
What's up, Elemental?
That's the Kit stuff, right? Kit Carter.
Well, Kit Carter, Rate the God, Garbage Man.
So you have 3 complete sets of his old stuff.
You
Well, what are you gonna do with it, man?
like, eBay some of it, right?
And some on eBay, so it just, I get like, I don't know.
Yes, we know.
Okay. Scorpio, it sucks about Malin, but that's the way he does it because he's doing it by himself. And that way it's easy for him to just go, okay, this is shipped. And his shipping prices aren't that horrible.
They're not $10 a book?
No, I don't think it's that high.
Because that's fucking high, dude.
Yeah, but like, but he just, that way he knows what it is. And it's like a simple one perk full. But he's got a shitload of perks where it combines a bunch of stuff together. If you know what you're looking, you know what I mean? Like you go through and look at all the stuff and go, okay, I want this. You know what I mean? And so you can get like 4 books or 3, you know what I mean? Like he has like different things linked together. You just have to find the correct perk.
Okay, like he
doesn't have add-ons, but he's got like 30 different perks. You know what I mean? Like 30 different perks to choose from.
Right. And you know how that goes, though, Jim. You're like, damn, I would like I get, and then John's like, I didn't make that set. Sorry, dude. You have to pay separate. I guess it would be easier to keep track of it that way. I guess, because isn't a receipt though, Jim?
I don't know. It's his story is easier to keep track of because without add-ons, because then you just know what it is, and it's this perk and boop, 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 boop. I don't know. I thought it was all kept track for you in their software, but
you would think, right? I guess. Either way. Did you do anything exciting today, Jim?
Just drove someone to the airport and then hung out and went swimming. And
swimming in November in a swimming pool must be nice.
Yeah.
How long can you swim, Jim? I mean,
year round.
Oh, your heated pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, my pool's not heated. And mine will probably shut down. Probably another month.
Yeah, I only have to use my heater from like November, December, January, February. That's it.
Yeah.
And the air is still warm enough most of the time.
Yeah, right? I mean, it might. Well, I mean, if it gets like 40, 50 degrees out, I won't go in the pool. I'll go in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be in the 60s here next week, Jim.
Cool.
It's crazy. We're getting that tropical weather. It's a good crazy, man. Bring on that global warming. Bring it on.
It's 59 degrees here right now. It's chilly tonight.
Oh, 59.
But we did have a big but we did have a big rainstorm all day yesterday, so it'll be like this for probably 2 days, and then it'll be back in the damn 90s.
Oh, really? Because it's
Yeah.
50. It's 50 here today, right now.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jim. Let's do our daily report.
Good morning, folks. Today we're looking at the tropical development near Mexico, another hit to cosmological paradigms, an eye-catching model with suspicious inputs, a major warning from scientists about the volcanic disaster on the horizon, and we're starting with the last 24 hours on our star. Things remain very quiet. Solar flaring remains in lower M and C class range, no eruptions towards the Earth. And the same goes for all these plasma filaments. The coronal hole departing on the north and its solar wind has finally arrived at Earth, but while it is slightly more intense than the ambient solar wind, it is not enough to cause much movement geomagnetically. We're fairly quiet here at Earth as well for the moment.
Bummer.
We are still watching the sunspots, but the mild decay phase has continued. It's the only significant sunspot group on the Earth-facing half of the sun, but it's losing its magnetic mixing. Still got a few spots of potential, but they're shrinking by the hour as the active region moves towards the limb. Lots of you are probably hearing about the tropical depression that just formed in the Caribbean. It is slated to intensify only slightly before making landfall, but we'll have to watch for it crossing into the Gulf and re-strengthening as it then moves towards the States. We'll have eyes on this one for sure. Following up yesterday's article on James Webb probing the early galaxy problem in cosmology, figured we'd grab this one from last month as well. We were kind of busy at the time with the solar storm when it came out, but today you've got the link to this one on how the reionization models are breaking down as well. Cosmology is in need of a major makeover. Up next, it's such a shame. Incredible eye candy applied as icing on a black hole cake. For those who haven't seen the videos about black hole science breaking, they're on the Sky Scholar channel. But right now, I can just definitively say that these are some gorgeous visuals based on what is almost certainly poor scientific understanding. Pretty though. Lastly, on the article front, Nature and top scientists are warning that a major volcanic eruption is inevitable and it will throw our world into absolute chaos. From major cold snaps to crop losses and unusual flood and drought patterns, it'll be like a school bus getting T-boned by a train. They even drill down into significant past events, but what most interests me on this chart is over on the far right side. The so-called global warming began in the late 1800s, and just look at the lack of volcanic cooling at the time. It goes right along with the record high solar activity and the weakening magnetic field of Earth, the three real causes of the atmospheric changes freaking out the left these days. Folks, our first two conference dates for 2025 are set at Observer Ranch.
What was funny?
Freaking out the left.
Oh, no, that'll happen, you know.
I like it. Like, hey, let's get real. It ain't freaking out sane people. Wow, he's got a lot of conferences, dude. What the hell are they doing?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of. They talk about the end of the world.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, the conference and decide who's going to do what, who's going to make the egg salad.
I thought they designed bunkers.
I want to make the fried green tomatoes. That's what I want to do. I got a good recipe.
You guys have your seed, your seed vault all ready to go.
I mean,
yeah, you know, with all your seeds for where when you can replant. And
like actual seed vaults. I thought you were talking about my personal seed vault. I was like, yeah, Jim, it's with me all the time.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about that.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I've got one of those too.
Oh yeah, you gotta have those. You gotta have a lot of freedom seeds.
Freedom seeds. Wow. I don't know what all I have. We used to grow because I grew up on a farm. We used to grow like heirloom vegetables, all organic. And so
no, but I mean these you can't really. I mean, I guess if you have a Dillon press, you could probably make your own freedom seeds. But
I've got those kind of. seeds, and then
Yeah.
I've got to get those freedom seeds
Yes.
back up in stock. Yeah.
Doc, I have never heard of this guy, but I'm looking at his channel. He's an earthquake guy, Jim. This guy Dutch Sense.
Oh, cool.
But dude, his videos are an hour and 20 and two. These videos are long. We can't do one of these every day. You don't do like quick updates.
All right. Here we go.
In the new valley of the sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
All right. So what was the verdict? Are we going to watch about the end of the world, or are we going to watch about the Anunnaki? Because I saw this one that looked very interesting. Was Yahweh an Anunnaki?
Oh, the fake guy that we have to give our loyalty to, right?
No, Yahweh is what the
Yahweh
name
is God.
is. God is the name of God. You know.
Right. They yeah. Well,
We got Billy Carson's good.
It seems like he went on that one show and they just made 1,000 videos of that one show. He must have been there for 10 hours.
Well, this is a short video here. The Anunnaki, the complete story, 4 hours. What do you think?
That's a good driving down the road.
Actually, it's probably not. I think it's all AI and
Yeah, but if the whoever it is doing the voiceover stuff and the story's actually good.
I'm pretty sure it's coming out of like.
Oh, like one of those AI like voice to oh, that'd be terrible. Yeah.
Please shut up about the Anunnaki. But they're so cool if they existed.
Well, let's do end of the world stuff. We've done a lot of Anunnaki stuff. What do you got for end of the world, Dave? I mean, Jim.
Oh well. For end of the world. The end times. We have
my stupid little crypto that I have, Jim. It's gone up like 17% in the last 24 hours.
We have disaster playlist, the 12,000 year cycle, Earth catastrophe cycle.
We can't see
what
it.
Happened?
You still had the Anunnaki up.
Oh, sorry. All right, we have the disaster playlist, the 12,000 year cycle, Earth disaster cycle, Earth catastrophe cycle, 2020 and beyond.
Well, he's got a whole play. These are all playlists, huh?
Correct. Yeah, they're small videos.
What do you think? Earth catastrophe cycle 2020 and beyond?
Sure.
Yeah, let's see what they got to say.
Oh, this is long.
Oh.
How long is it? I can't see.
An hour, 17.
Well,
we don't always get through it all.
Yeah, we're not going to get through it all.
Yes, we have the same disclaimer, YouTube. Right, Jim? This is the same disclaimer.
Viewer discretion.
I'm going to tell you the scariest true story ever told. Over thousands of years, in thousands of versions with different names and minute details, but the story always ends the same way. With the next end of the world. I'll give you the short version first, and then the burden of proof will fall.
Kevin says 1 hour in real time, 18 hours in BTM time.
Well, I cranked it up to 1.25
is punctuated in rare occasions by disastrous upheaval. The Earth's magnetic field reverses, with dramatic excursion events sprinkled between. They can occur in less than 100 years from plunge to rock bottom.
You didn't have to
Earth's
speed it up.
ongoing magnetic event has already been underway 150 years into the red zone, and it is speeding up. In early 2019, the magnetic event accelerated to where an update to the world magnetic model was required ahead of schedule for the first time. Well, so far, this has not been causing catastrophic events, but unfortunately, there are other aspects to the event coming, both in physical evidence and in the stories told in rock and voice. The sun plays the role of the destroyer, Where the decadal and centennial cycles of activity converge, we find the entire magnetic potential of the sun accessible for what can only be described as a micronova. As unbelievable as that might sound, the evidence will actually show this to be an almost unavoidable consequence of the solar system trip through the galaxy. There is evidence that the crust and mantle unlock at the low velocity zone.
Yeah, that's
The
good.
plates collide and may be worse, triggering volcanoes and sending unfathomable amounts of water into the land, creating surge deposits of bone and earth. The earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis are followed by snow, ice, incredible amounts falling by the yard as Earth's temperature plummets. We'll see evidence at the micro scale of the previous great solar blast, the ways in which humans survived the last great
Who the
catastrophe,
hell is that?
the evidence that similar plans are secretly
creature.
unfolding beneath our feet,
It's
and the evidence demonstrating the cover-up and erroneous geological science that overthrew a course of rediscovery, one that can now lead us to understand that the sun's cyclical passage through the galactic electric sheet is the trigger for the great catastrophe cycle on Earth. Let's begin in the 1700s, with a surge of global exploration in science and the discovery of the evidence for these cycles. A dozen researchers
grab
became
something to drink.
dozens in
I'll
the
be right back.
1800s as more evidence and excitement and terror over the implications of the evidence was mounting in an undeniable charge to science to explain all the evidence. The 1900s saw a further growth of the field. Many researchers gained considerable fame, while others were silenced. The end of the century saw the birth of the plasma universe connection to catastrophism, with the first global study of petroglyphs describing a solar catastrophe in antiquity. The story truly begins, relevantly, however, with the man almost certainly responsible for the misdirection of the truth, Charles Hapgood. His Earth crust displacement theory became the torch for the catastrophe cycle, and when it bombed, it took down the entire field with it. We will demonstrate his motive and opportunity to cheat Einstein, that he knew the truth, he covered it up. A key element of that cover-up occurred in the 1960s, when a theatrical, extravagant, and shock-driven Hollywood-style description of the catastrophe was classified by the CIA. That is one mystery. Why this one when so many others had discussed the topic for years, for centuries? Could it be that this one contained something unique? When it was declassified and released in 2016, it was heavily sanitized down to only 57 pages, but even those pages deliver incredible bounty. And that is where we will begin, with just another of the thousands of versions of this story, one we will show to be partly right and partly wrong in the rest of this video, but either way, which endows upon you the mindset required to take this journey with us, as dozens of researchers and CIA co-founder Charles Hapgood himself put out their own versions of the story. Here is chapter 1 of the only work on the catastrophe that was classified. With a rumble so low as to be inaudible, growing, then fuming into a thundering roar, the earthquake starts. Only it's not like any earthquake in recorded history. In California, the mountains shake like ferns in a breeze. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of water more than 2 miles high, then starts its race eastward. With the force of 1,000 armies, the wind attacks. Within 3 hours, the fantastic wall of water moves across the continent, burying the wind-ravaged land under 2 miles of seething water coast to coast. Central America suffers the same cannonade. South America finds the Andes not high enough to stop the cataclysmic violence pounded out by nature in her berserk rage. In less than a day, Ecuador, Peru, western Brazil are shaken madly by the devastating earthquake, burned by molten earth fire, buried under cubic miles of torrential Pacific seas, and then turned into a...
Yeah, I'm here.
This is a report that somebody wrote,
Yeah.
and the CIA was so scared of it, they hid it from the public.
Supposedly.
I
don't know if that's true.
Well, it said, I did say on the thing CIA's material or whatever, but wow. All right. I don't know why
Maybe
they
Tulsi Gabbard will tell us.
I don't understand why they would feel a need to hide this.
Well, I mean, if it was true, the government would definitely hide it because it would freak people out.
Well, people read the Bible and there's fucking disasters in there, dude.
Yeah, but like if they thought something like this would happen, they'd be building like seed vaults in Greenland and hey,
Right.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Huh.
Good point. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't know.
Well, there'd be like probably the richest people on Earth would be trying to build rockets to get off the planet. Hey, wait a minute.
I mean, but why wouldn't the CIA like go grab War of the Worlds and fucking hide that from the people? Because they actually read that shit on the radio and people fucking really freaked out. Like that did happen. So they say. But they got to classify a fucking. This is the movie 2012, right? Giant earthquake, flood, all that shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This is 2012.
Frozen hell. Everything freezes. Man, beast, plant, and mud are all rock hard in less than 4 hours. Europe cannot escape the onslaught. Western Africa and the sands of the Sahara vanish in nature's wrath. The area bounded by the Congo, South Africa, and Kenya suffers only severe earthquakes and wind. Survivors there marvel at the sun standing still in the sky for nearly half a day. As the Arctic basin leaves its polar home, eastern Siberia, Manchuria, China, and Burma are subjected to the same annihilation as South America: wind, earth fire, inundation, and freezing. The Bay of Bengal Basin, just east of India, is now at the North Pole. The Pacific Ocean, just west of Peru, is at the South Pole. Australia is the new, unexplored continent in the North Temperate Zone, with only a few handfuls of survivors populating its vastness. The cataclysm has done its work well, and drives the pitiful few who survive into a new Stone Age. Once more, the Earth has shifted its shell, with the poles moving almost to the equator in a fraction of a day. Again, the atmosphere and oceans, refusing to change direction with the Earth's shell, have wiped out almost all life. After this tumble, we'll join Noah, Adam and Eve, Atlantis, Mu, and Olympus. So that
we'll all
paints
be
a pretty
lost
terrible
civilizations
picture.
at that point.
If not for the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: is I would think if something like this happened, there would have been a lot more devastation than what there was. Like, like all the megafauna and everything that died and that was frozen solid, and all these things that were like frozen while they were still eating and had food undigested. You know what I mean? So it was like that. Kind of some of that gets explained by this. Would be explained.
Mm-hmm.
Like how that stuff got frozen in the first place, because if Siberia was in that area in the north, it wouldn't have had enough food to feed all those
Right.
mammoths. So
Mhm.
kind of, so, maybe that's why people say that there's pyramids on Antarctica. Maybe Antarctica moves and it's not always at the south pole of the planet. Maybe it moves up to the equator and
Yeah. I mean,
it's not covered in ice. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe. I'm open to just about anything. Except for that the earth is flat. I'm not open to that. I think that's
All of them.
retarded.
I will not hear that the Earth is flat out of everything. I get it.
That's just, I'd have to do a lot of acid to believe that.
The fact that it was classified by the CIA, it might be worth ignoring entirely as science fiction. And indeed, that version is too extreme. But the evidence does suggest a slightly lesser version of that same event does indeed occur during these upheavals. Now, it is our job to show you the evidence from start to finish, and these are the points we will need to hit to do so. First, we will have to begin with the cover-up, with the manner in which this entire topic of Earth cataclysms went from one of the most important in geophysics to total pseudoscience. It was one of the greatest cover-ups in history. We will then go through the evidence that we have to look to
Bigger
the sun.
than the JFK.
We'll see how it is cyclically triggered to outburst as we look to the sand.
Oh, yeah, this is way bigger than JFK, dude. I mean, JFK was just, one guy getting shot.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
all of us getting shot.
And a whole country being ruined. But yeah.
Just put a leveler on the ground and you can see it's flat.
Sanitized portion of the Adam and Eve story
All
that
right,
is
Ruby.
still technically classified but has been leaked past the threshold of action. We'll discover the nature of the solar
Great
outburst
miniseries
from the
by the way,
sequence of
Ruby.
events and the evidence left on Earth, the nature of the catastrophe. We'll look into the pole reversal and exactly what it is and what it means for us, the impactors and their connection to the event, and finally, survival into the next age of Earth. It was not until the story by Chan Thomas was put into the public that the science of catastrophism could once again progress. And that story begins with the cover-up that really began with the predecessor organization to the CIA, the Office of Strategic Services. The initial question is, why was this version of the book classified? What makes this version of the story unique? Well, certainly this version of the story is quite extreme, a one-day shift of geologic proportion that sends the sea from its beds and tears the world apart. The most critical aspect of the work is the fact that it highlights a repeating, cyclical nature to the event on Earth. Then again, nearly everyone who studied the catastrophe over the last 300 years came to that same conclusion. In the 1940s, one of the most critical scenes of this theater played out at the North Pole. Major Maynard E. White led the first mission to map and understand the Arctic region, mostly because of navigational concerns and to monitor for Soviet attacks.
Okay, so this did happen. Project Nanook, and this guy going to the North Pole. They did take core samples. They were trying to find where the actual magnetic North Pole was, the true North Pole, and all that. And they discovered that it moves. It's not always, you know what I mean, that it's moving. It's not always in the same place.
But then they found the giant hole with all the animatrons in it, and they had to fight a war. That's
right,
and
they found, you know, different layers of Arctic, you know, fossils, you know, and tropical fossils and Arctic fossils, like alternating layers. It's like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, but is a animatron body considered a fossil?
Well,
or right?
Yeah, maybe.
Just saying.
Not necessarily a fossil, but a you know, like it's like a piece of pottery that an archaeologist finds, right? It's just it's something that was built.
I don't know. Maybe they classified it because of the alien spaceships they found up there. I don't know.
True. That could. Yeah. Hey, I'm not a scientist. I just play one on this show.
I'm a scientist.
Attacks over the pole. When it became imperative to locate the magnetic pole position, the scientists found much more than they bargained for when they got their boots on the ground. They found evidence of marine strata, lifted to significant altitude, time after time, and with tropical corals found in that Arctic region strata, complementing the evidence of similar fossils found by Admiral Byrd in Antarctica, both complementing the prehistoric trees unearthed in Norway, which had no rings, indicating that they resided at the equator. All in all, Major White's team believed that they had unearthed 9 levels of catastrophe on the planet. These findings were reported at the Pentagon, attended also by Paul Sipple of the RAND Corporation and presumably members of the Office of Strategic Services, where Charles Hapgood was a key player in geophysics. And working with Major White's findings and Dr. Sipple's experiments, it was concluded that Earth's magnetic pole began slowly accelerating, followed by a whip around the geographic polar region, which somehow tilts the planet back and forth, which is why there is evidence of the polar regions in the same places over and over, because it always tilts right back and appears to have not moved over geologic time. They confirmed the catastrophe aspects of the new mountain range creation and ice age conditions immediately following the great event. Charles Hapgood, Paul Sipple, and the Pentagon are perhaps the most credible advocates of this 10 to 12,000 year cycle of disaster on Earth, especially when you consider what they did next. Hapgood continued his classified life while also teaching at various universities up through the late 60s. During the 50s, in the years following Major White's Arctic mission, Charles Hapgood.
See, now here I don't understand. This is half professor, half OSS, CIG, CIA scientist. Wouldn't that be half professor and then like I don't know, like
a quarter CIG?
Yeah, 15%, 15%, and then 50, like whatever 16 or 7, whatever 17%.
I mean, we're looking at like 150% of a person right here, if you do the math. Right, so a half and a half would make a whole, and then he would have to be, you know, at least 25% CIA scientist and CIG. So we're looking at 1.5% of people, so of a person. Definitely. Annunaki confirmed.
Definitely.
Those are thirds. This video is nonsense.
Stepped into the limelight in his public life with the famous Earth's crust displacement theory. It was a much mutated version.
Yeah, I think Ben's right. 33% of 50% is still 50% of 33% of 16.666, the number of the beast.
From what we heard from Major White,
that's in there
where
twice.
The poles do not go back and forth to the same places. The cycle is twice as long, and instead of a one-day event, it takes thousands of years to complete, and which was easily debunked by modern geophysicists, taking down the entire science of catastrophism with it. That is the famous version with the foreword written by Albert Einstein. That is not disputed, as his work with Hapgood was well known in the years before he died. However, Einstein was likely privy to the same information as Hapgood, and the final book came out after he died.
Why is there always bankers involved in this?
Well, let me let me tell you a little bit of a story, Jim. No, I can't. We're not on Rumble. But when we go to Rumble, I'll tell you a story.
I mean, even all the catastrophism in the Bible is related to the bankers.
That's true. That's very true.
I'm starting to see I'm starting to notice patterns.
Oh, don't notice patterns, Jim. Noticing
There's
patterns.
no way of knowing if
is
Einstein
what'll get you
supported the
banned.
radically different version that Hapgood eventually espoused. But what we do know is that Einstein saw the cycle of catastrophe and the turning over of the Earth. He was looking for a way to unlock the crust from the low velocity zone in the years before he died, and we know he never did find a sufficient geophysical mechanism. Hapgood's version of the story, the public one, does not match what he and Sipple delivered to Major White at the Pentagon a decade earlier. It does not match the geological evidence or the timelines as well. Hapgood's versions, again, were easily debunked. Now, Einstein discussed this for years with Hapgood, and the only contribution was a foreword. Maybe, but armed with that foreword, the weak version of crust displacement Hapgood placed over the
I
field
hate a weak
had the
crust.
credibility
You know what
to
I mean?
do so.
Yeah,
The
I like
Chan
stuffed
Thomas
crust.
version matches the
prefer
version that
stuffed
somehow
crust.
got lost between the Pentagon and Charles
These
Hapgood's
guys.
public life, and it was in fact classified in the years after Hapgood's work, the first work to deviate from that flawed story since the flawed story came out. It plainly contradicts the version that the CIA geophysicist Charles Hapgood was promoting around the world, even if he had promoted a different one in private. And Chan's version got classified, as apparently did that real version of the story reported from what Major White and Paul Sipple provided. Einstein's key problem was the evidence of Greenland's tilting action, but a lack of weight in ice to pull the crust itself. Nobody had ever before discovered a mechanism for how the Earth would actually accomplish this unfathomable disrespect of inertia, basic physics, common logic. Frankly, the explanations blaming the hand of God had about as much evidence as anything else up until that point. That is, until the version Chan Thomas tried to put out. The postlude of Chan's work was not part of the sanitized release by the
Bengal Tiger Press.
Hmm.
Why does that seem like something you would order from a magazine?
Sounds like it does.
You know, like Soldier of Fortune type, you know, or
by the CIA, but it was included in a 1993 version of the book. The CIA apparently didn't feel the need to classify due to the disrepute to the field of catastrophism. Nobody cares anymore. The postlude describes the only potential mechanism for connection of all the evidence from beneath our feet out to the sun. In recent years, the move in cosmology to see the galactic magnetic field structure as coherent, including the central torus and jet model, has run through the national labs and NASA with incredible success. But one of the lesser publicized realizations of this fact,
Jim,
the scale
What's up?
similarity.
I just looked up Bengal Tiger Press.
yeah.
That's the only book they ever published.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was Googling it too. That's the only one, right? I can't find anything else they've ever published.
What, did the CIA shut the business down?
They just
Nope.
Nope. I think they just printed the book, and the CIA didn't even classify that one because they said that they had made it such a field of retribution, basically, that nobody cares.
They printed it twice. They printed it in early 19 whenever, and then they done it. Is it 93? Yeah, and then they done a new edition in 2019. That's the only time. That's the only thing they've ever printed.
Yep.
How did the Tigers work the machinery to press it? Because they don't have thumbs.
Well, I mean, they've got like that dew claw, right?
Oh, I guess.
How did they get a copy of it to print?
Did they? I wonder if they sing that song.
What song, Jim?
Welcome to Duloc. It's a perfect town.
I thought you were going to say "Welcome to the Jungle."
Oh, that would have been better.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity. You want to
Solar
reset?
system,
You want to
and with
rewind the
Earth-
stream and try it
Yeah,
again?
can we edit that part out? And then, okay.
Yeah, let's
Go ahead,
back
say
up
what-
real quick.
All right, here we go. We're gonna start this over. Ready? I wonder if they sing that song.
What song's
What?
that?
Welcome to the jungle.
We got fun and games. Oh yeah.
Earth's equatorial ion emission. You see, just like the solar system, the galaxy has an electromagnetic current sheet rippling around the equator, separating the coherent fields of north and south. Now, in our solar system, the sheet ripples, wavering around the equator, bringing a spike in ion density and a reversal of the interplanetary magnetic fields. At Earth, although our orbit only crosses the exact solar equator twice per year, the solar electric current sheet hits Earth every 2 weeks and can produce a geomagnetic storm, inducing electric currents in the atmosphere and the ground. Earth is constantly protected by its own magnetic field, but in addition to things like solar flares, simply enduring a every 2 week solar system magnetic reversal and current sheet impact can cause those electromagnetic disruptions. So, what happens when the sun and solar system encounter the galactic version, its spike in density, and its magnetic reversal process? Let's actually add one more element to that puzzle: the dust. In our own solar system, and most we see,
Well, I would just recommend not doing dust because dust will fuck you up.
Says you.
That angel dust stuff?
Yeah, right.
Phenylcyclone is bad for you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Coca-Cola's bad for you too.
Yeah.
there
Which
is a
one's
dusty
worse?
planet, like Saturn's rings. Density is low from planet formation over time, but in the galaxy that is not the case. There are dusty remnants of countless nova
See
and
a cat.
material left over from the star formation events
Right,
of the
man.
galaxy. So the galactic sheet is more ion dense, a galactic magnetic reversal, and a much more dusty region than we find in our own solar system. Now, out of those three, it might seem like the galactic magnetic field reversal and the extra ion and electron
this is
density
Ben
are the
Davidson,
scarier
right?
propositions than the dust.
Yeah, Ben Davis.
But in fact,
Yep.
it might be the dust that makes the situation so awful. To understand why, we must investigate a phenomenon known as recurrent nova. There are quite a number of these recurrent nova that we do know of. Here's an interesting picture of one called T-Pix. And by the way, this first image was the T-Pix nova.
So it's T-Pix, and also short for Titty Pix. And this is also Ben Davidson. Ben Davidson is playing Ben Davidson, playing Ben Davidson.
Oh,
My
that's
son
Ben
David.
Davidson giving
My
a
son David. My son David. My son David.
we can go into that fucking psycho loop that we did the other night. That was hilarious, dude.
David, my son Davidson. Davidson, my son David. Son Davidson.
This
My son
guy's
David.
depressing. He's
Of
almost-
1997.
He is his yes. He does have a very his voice
He
is
thinks he's
purposeful.
right, and he's trying to warn us.
Right. But there's never any joy. Like it's not like he's having any fun at all. It's just like always very serious. Is dust in the wind? Yes. I just like Jim, I typed in end times and you know that Trump getting elected.
Is the end times?
Oh, the prophecy's coming true.
Could be. Maybe that's why they let him win.
Lots of fucking videos on YouTube already about.
Have you seen some of the charts though? Not to change the subject about the election, showing how close they were to actually defraud overcoming Trump's lead. Like he just barely got past them in these states. Like they tried it.
Really?
Yeah, that's how the senators lost. It's like shunk. It was like between 3 and 4 a.m. in all those states. It just shot up. The same thing, that exactly the same, that from 2020, that F that went up, same exact thing happened again, which is weird because they said that couldn't happen because they changed the way they count the votes.
So there's a video in here called "Is Trump the Antichrist or the Final Forerunner?" Rapture 2024 still look good.
These people.
And the thumbnail is, I'll show you the thumbnail. No, I can't show you the thumbnail. Anyway, the thumbnail is a picture of like a high school marching band in a small town. The world, Antichrist, Trump. Oh my God. And another one they have here is disturbing book from 1896 says that Trump will be the last American president. Wow.
Okay.
Did Nostradamus write that? I don't know. It's 1896. He didn't write that. He was like 1700s, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it was later than that.
Yeah, maybe. Comet of End Times. Oh no.
Yeah, he was 15. He died in 1566. So
1566.
he was born in 1503. So he was, probably hitting his stride around 1533, somewhere in there, making his predictions.
I mean, Trump is the Antichrist, guys. The world is going to end.
Look, all right. If Trump does like really good shit for the country and the world and everything starts doing great and he becomes universally loved, well, then I'm going to start giving him the side eye. But until he becomes universally loved, sorry, guys, that's not the way that Antichrist works. He's going to trick you. Everybody's going to love him, and only a few people are going to be looking at him going, y'all sure about him? These people. Just read the Bible.
Unless we conclude Yahweh, the so-called God of the Bible, was an earthling, then he could only be an extraterrestrial, meaning not of this earth. And the numerous parallels between biblical accounts and the encounters with the Anunnaki by other ancient peoples naturally leads us to consider the possibility that Yahweh was actually an Anunnaki. There exists no scholarly dispute nowadays that the biblical creation narrative with which the book of Genesis begins draws heavily upon the Mesopotamian epic of creation known as the Enuma Elish. It is quite clear that the biblical Eden is a representation of the Sumerian Eden. The story of the deluge, Noah and the ark, is undeniably influenced by the Akkadian Atrahasis texts and the earlier Sumerian deluge tale in the Epic of Gilgamesh. The use of the plural us in the creation of the Adam sections mirrors the Sumerian and Akkadian accounts of the deliberations among the leaders of the Anunnaki that resulted in the genetic manipulation responsible for the emergence of Homo sapiens. Enki, the chief scientist in Mesopotamian texts, proposed genetic engineering to create...
Now that's a nice beard. Look at that beard.
Dave would just call him, Dave would look at him and say, shave that shit off your face.
It's as curly, it's as curly as his hair.
I know, it's like braided and shit.
I know, it's like crazy. Man.
He got a perm. Ain't no big deal.
Create the earthling as a primitive worker.
Is that true?
It is possible that Enki is the figure quoted in the Bible as saying, let us make the Adam in our likeness and after our image. Enki was also known as Nu Dim Mud, meaning he who fashions, and was called Ta by the Egyptians.
Well, his brother was We Too Low.
Oh, God.
And his cousin was Bing Zang Wow.
Bing Zang Wow? I don't think I've ever heard that one. It's so simple. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
He was the PETA developer, he who fashions things.
Which means the developer, or he who fashions things. The biblical prophets referred to Yahweh as the fashioner of the atom. Enki's emblem, the entwined serpents, symbolized the double helix DNA, the genetic code that allowed Enki to carry out the genetic mixing that led to the creation of the atom.
Pause it.
Okay.
So that always trips me out. Like, is this what a DNA strand really looks like?
That's what they claim. Double helix like this. And this is snakes. And then you got the wings of the bird, like the Annunaki flying down, or the angels. I don't know, man.
Man, that's flipped them out of my body. That's pretty badass. Go ahead, Stimulated.
I didn't have anything to say. I was thinking of something funny and I started to yawn for some reason. So I lost it. Go ahead, guys.
The story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, which is considered the second genetic manipulation, attributes the serpent with the role of leading them to gain knowledge, particularly in terms of sexual procreation. In Hebrew, the term for serpent is Nahash, which is derived from the same root as the Hebrew word for copper, Nehoshet. Moses created a copper serpent, known as Nahash Nehoshet, to halt an epidemic among the Israelites during the Exodus. This copper serpent, also referred to as Nehushtan by the people, was kept in the temple of Yahweh in Jerusalem for around 7 centuries until the time of King Hezekiah. The transformation of Moses' shepherd's crook into a magical staff, which was first used to turn into a serpent, raises questions about the connection between Yahweh and Enki. The most evident connection between the Mesopotamian and biblical stories can be seen in the tale of the deluge. In the Mesopotamian versions, it is Enki who takes the initiative to warn his loyal follower Ziusudra, also known as Utnapishtim, about the impending disaster. Enki instructs him to construct a waterproof ark, provides him with its specifications and dimensions, and orders him to preserve the seed of animal life. In the Bible, all of these actions are attributed to Yahweh. The argument for identifying Yahweh with Enki can be reinforced by examining the references to Enki's territories. After the earth was divided between Enlil and Enki, Enki was given dominion over Africa. This included the Apsu, the region known for gold mining, where Enki had his main residence. The term Apsu corresponds to the biblical term Apse Eretz, which is commonly translated to mean the ends of the earth, or the land at the edge of the continent. In the Bible, this distant place, Apse Eretz, is where Yahweh shall judge, according to 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 10, and where he shall rule when Israel is restored, according to Micah chapter 5, verse 3. Therefore, Yahweh has been equated with Enki in his role as the ruler of the Apsu. The comparison between Enki and Yahweh becomes even more pronounced when we come across a passage in the book of Proverbs that highlights the unmatched greatness of Yahweh through the use of rhetorical questions. Who hath ascended up to heaven, and descended too? Who hath cupped the wind in his hands, and hound the waters as in a cloak? Who hath established the Apse Eretz? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou can tell? Based on Mesopotamian sources, Enki allocated the African continent to his sons, with the Apsu being granted to Nergal. The polytheistic interpretation...
Nergal?
What?
That's pretty close.
It is really close.
pretty close.
Really close.
It was-
questioning the ruler of the Apsu and his son likely stems from an unintentional inclusion of a passage from the original Sumerian texts. This same interpretation can be seen in the use of us in phrases like, "Let us make the atom," and "Let us come down" in the Tower of Babel story.
Babel.
In Proverbs chapter 30, verse 4, the term Yahweh is clearly substituted for Enki. Upon close examination of the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, it becomes apparent that the Nahash, which is Enki's serpent form as the possessor of biological knowledge, is the one responsible for Adam and Eve gaining the knowing of sexuality that allows them to procreate. However, the Nahash is not Yahweh, but rather an adversary of Yahweh, similar to how Enki was an adversary of Enlil. In the Sumerian texts, it was Enlil who compelled Enki to transfer some of the newly created primitive workers, designed to work in the gold mines of the Apsu, to the Eden in Mesopotamia, for agricultural and pastoral activities. In the Bible, it is Yahweh who took the Adam and placed him in the Garden of Eden to tend it and to maintain it. It is Yahweh, not the serpent, who is portrayed as the ruler of Eden, communicating with Adam and Eve, discovering their actions and banishing them. Throughout all of this, the Bible associates Yahweh not with Enki, but with Enlil. Indeed, within the tale of the deluge, the identification of Yahweh with Enki is most
Adam and Eve, because y'all can tend this shit, but don't eat it.
Yeah.
Don't eat this stuff, but you take care of it. Well, fuck. That's
Well,
cold-blooded,
they
man.
said you could eat all of it but one piece. It's just like, just don't eat this one fruit. And
Well,
of course, that bitch had to ruin it.
yeah, she did.
Well, here's to get this. Isn't it odd that they're talking about an apple
Mm-hmm.
as a forbidden fruit, and
Here we
Adam,
go.
and the
Uh-huh.
thing on your neck that delineates between a man and a woman is an Adam's apple?
Yeah.
Some freaky stuff, man.
Yeah, Jim. It's crazy, bro.
Is that your dog barking, Jim?
No, that's me laughing.
Oh. Jim already made himself laugh.
All right, let's get serious now.
You're terrible, Jim.
Let's hunker down, boys. Let's
That's why I don't think boys should play girl sports.
Oh no. Well, this one will be yellow forever. Yes, I've read the terms of service. I've done everything correct. But what about this boys playing girls sports thing? Oh, I don't know. I didn't say it. Somebody else did.
I'll get you green again. I think boys should play girls sports. Check it now. Bet you it turned green.
Well, no, it won't, because the only way that it would turn green is if you say, no, there's no such thing as boys.
Monetized. Simple as.
Yeah.
Most evident, yet confusion arises. The roles are interchanged, with Yahweh taking on the role of Enlil, Enki's rival. In the original Mesopotamian texts, it is Enlil who expresses dissatisfaction with humanity, seeks its destruction through the impending calamity, and makes the other Anunnaki leaders swear to keep it a secret from mankind. However, in the biblical version, Genesis chapter 6, it is Yahweh who expresses discontent with humanity and decides to eradicate it from the earth. As the tale concludes, with Ziusudra, also known as Utnapishtim, offering sacrifices on Mount Ararat.
Well, why did he piss him off?
Because they pished him.
They pissed him off. Yeah.
Yeah, they pished him off.
Fuck! They pissed him off.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't read the book of Enlil.
What the fuck?
Is that how they learned how to make lentils?
Yeah, I would think so, right?
A little at a time.
Yeah, that's what happened. What? All right. So, is this AI voice acting too?
I don't know. Sounds like it.
Yeah, I can't quite tell. Yeah,
he does. Like a lot of AI stuff, they don't pause properly all the time, and there's like never like any variance in what they're saying. It's just straight words. I do hear him.
They'll also end stuff like it with the inflection of a question,
right?
Without it, yeah.
Yeah. That sounded a little better, I think, than, or maybe it's just real good AI. I don't know.
Is this AI?
7, and this was the T-Pix Nova of 2011. It just goes boom over and over and over again. Beautiful plasma physics swinging into view with how they're pretty sure the eruptive character is when it comes to at least this one recurrent nova. And so what this is here, and this list will be ever expanding. These are the current recurring nova in the Milky Way, with the exception of the one that was just discovered about a week and a half ago. That was in the Large Magellanic Cloud. I don't know if they're going to count that one as being in the Milky Way or.
See, just so everyone knows, the reason we're playing both of these is because these two are interconnected. You can't have one without the other.
It's like peanut butter and chocolate, right?
Yeah. This is like the Reese's Pieces cup of science.
Of theory, about conspiracy theories. Yes.
Yes.
You got your theory and my theory. No, you got.
Isn't it weird that they call all these things novas? And
you
Frankie
got your
McDonald,
Nova and my Yahweh. No, you
Frankie
got your Yahweh and my Nova.
Yeah, and Frankie McDonald lives in Nova Scotia.
Oh,
and
I see.
Dave likes to drink Scotch whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It's all interconnected.
All interconnected. There will be no whiskey drinking tonight.
Not, but take a look over. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column where it has a bunch of years. Those are the known outburst years. Just take a look at how many times these ones have actually gone boom. Some of them, all of the lectures that students are hearing right now, and some of the best literature reviews on this topic that you can find, very much conclude one thing on this list. It is egregiously under-inclusive. They say that our viewing of the heavens at this level is so nascent that there almost certainly supernova that we have seen that aren't supernova, that we will see them go boom again, and they will make this list. They believe that there are many with hundreds to thousands of year cycles that we simply have not seen go boom even once. And when we do, we'll have no idea it's a recurrent nova for hundreds to thousands of years more. And so come to ask what the trigger mechanism is. And it is currently thought to be
normally when I tell a
it is feeding material down onto one of the other stars and
them.
basically causes a thermonuclear explosion on the surface.
There is no doubt that some recurrent nova are binaries feeding material down onto their partners, exploding in dramatic fashion. But this has implications for stars with dusty encounters on their way through the galaxy. Apart from dusty filaments and gaseous clouds, the central current sheet is going to have a higher dust density coinciding with the extra energetic particles. This is due to the same mechanism that allows a static duster to work in your home. That electric field is going to contain a surplus of that dusty material, and indeed, we're learning that the dust content overall may be much greater than we realized. The same mechanism described for recurrent nova binaries works on some level for these stellar dusty encounters, except with the current sheet, we also have a surplus of electromagnetic particles as well, all during a galactic magnetic field reversal. The proposal for what that could mean for a sun that is known to have the ability to produce rare superflare type outbursts already is something close to the stories of our ancestors insisting the sun has a dark side.
Why did this all kick off when they came back from the moon?
The sun has a dark side?
It's because
Yeah, the sun has a dark side.
Yeah. Everything has a dark side.
Yeah, side we can't see.
Yeah.
We have to go there at night.
I thought the sun was a big glowy thing all around it, just a big ball of like the core of our planet. That's what I thought the sun was.
No, I think he's implying it has like a dark side, like just
ominous,
like
it's
something
evil?
that, like it's not.
it's a
Not only
zero
does it give life and light, it
Oh,
can
okay.
also bring destruction. Maybe. I think that's
Maybe. Yeah. The dark
glass
side.
and particles. Like why all this stuff kicked off after they went to the moon, allegedly.
Most of the Apollo 11 glassy particles differ from those generated by terrestrial volcanism, by meteoric impacts, or by the condensation of the parent bodies of meteorites. Some of the particles may have been formed by the action of solar flares on the lunar surface.
Well, sure, yeah, some massive solar flare with plasma would basically turn the dust on the moon to glass because it doesn't have a magnetic field.
Electromagnetic field, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Well, probably 90%, maybe more, of the glass on the moon is from meteoritic impact or from volcanism on the moon. Probably. There is unquestionably these classes of glasses that are not from volcanoes and that are not from meteorite impacts, specifically the ones that have aluminum-26. The relativistic temperature required for that would require a meteor that to hit the moon big enough such that we would no longer have a moon.
Many astronomers, physicists have hypothesized that at one time there was an immense solar outburst from the sun, maybe 100,000 times what it is right now. Tommy Gold was one of the first to suggest this hypothesis, and it has been followed up by other people. So many physicists, many astronomers believe that in the past, millennia ago, there was an intense solar outburst, and so I'm going to pursue that.
One that I have been focused on lately has been the antediluvian, the so-called biblical flood, if you will. On average, about every 10,000 years, you can expect a catastrophe to happen. For the most part, the civilization is wiped out. It's a horrendous catastrophe. It wipes out a pre-existing civilization and most of the people on Earth. And so we must start anew.
Through decades of searching the world collaborations with amazing observers like John McGovern, Herat has amassed the most extensive data set of petroglyph representation of global solar storms, and the most famous of those is the Stick Man, which is not amazing by itself, but those dots on each side, found around the world from the exact same time periods, is indicative of shared experience. And the plasma formation called a Z-pinch seems to fit the description of both the drawings and the physics of a solar disaster.
This is stuff that this stuff interests me. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yes, these things exist. People drew these in fucking caves all around the world at around the same time. So they must have saw this.
Or they were taught this, right? I mean, they communicated, right? Somebody knew, yeah, it's either or. They either saw it or there was people that were traveling freely across this planet since we were alive, Jim. I mean, it makes no sense. Like, unless we've just like shifted so many times that shit just moves around, right? And we just a new era of people show up there and they claim it's theirs. Like, those fucking Egyptians didn't build a fucking thing. They didn't build shit. Look at what they build now. Nothing.
It's crazy. They didn't pass none of that technology along, huh?
Nothing.
They didn't. Hey, all the shit they scrawled on the walls. They
all those.
Well, you know, I mean, we do have evidence in modern time of something that we were able to do that now we say we lost the technology for.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
that is very true. I am not going to argue with that.
Which is insanity. I'm sorry, it doesn't make
maybe the
any
Egyptian
sense.
CIA took all the fucking books away.
You think
and they
so?
classified them.
Yeah,
and then they lost them.
Actually, there's more than likely a chamber underneath the, inside the Sphinx that holds the library.
Mm-hmm.
It has all the information, but they won't let us go look. I tried. They stopped.
They're scared to find what's under there, man. It would blow all those Egyptologists' work out of the fucking water.
Yeah.
That'd be like if the Great Library in Alexandria still existed. All that knowledge got lost. Like, ooh, man. We might actually know how this shit got here because they might have actually had the older books.
There's two events happening here. When the sun novas, the heat from that nova and also cosmic rays, we get within 8 minutes of when the sun novas. Now, remember, for another 17 to 18 hours, that dust shell is still on the way. It doesn't hit until 17 to 18 hours after the nova. So the first thing happens is the surface is going to get melted and glazed. Ironically, the Torah winds up saying the moon turned red. Well, yeah, it turned red. It just got baked and melted. That's the glazing that Thomas Gold and others had noticed all around the place. Then
we see a lot of glazing on the internet.
17, 18 hours later. Several assumptions.
One, a lot of gazing on the internet.
That this dust shell is homogeneous. Because the evidence we've seen both on the Earth and on the moon, they have the different samples they brought back from Apollo 11, 16, 17, and a few others. They had different chemical
compositions. Didn't you watch Nerdrotic?
The same stuff they found in the South Pole.
I sent you those clips. What do you mean, the Nerdrotic? What?
Jimmy Dole, right?
Yeah, I watched some of it. Yeah, it was all right. Jimmy Dore wasn't actually on. It was these two other guys.
And why go on? Why go on Jimmy Dore's B show?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess it was Kurt Metzger that got him on there.
Oh, okay.
Kurt wasn't on either. Go figure.
Yeah, it's weird.
We'll do a few more.
And other places on the Earth. So when they say it impacts like another meteor, remember, these scientists can't think in terms of the sun noving. What I'm trying to tell everybody, this is not an easy process that happens. It's a complicated one. It's not just the sun. It's not just that the Earth stops its rotation and the oceans keep going. It's also the crust of the Earth, just like the oceans, are going to start banging up against each other. So after the moon gets glazed by and melted by the sun's nova, 17 hours later, the dust shell comes and puts a fresh new load of dust on top of it. I mean, they're
glazing and loads all over the place.
They don't know where else or how else to explain it. Here they get a sample.
Fucking
scientists are nerds. Holes in it. A lot of the samples they're getting from Antarctica and other places, they don't know to try to get the fission tracks. Look for fission tracks. The stuff that came back from the moon in 69 and through the 70s, they were smart enough to look for fission tracks, and they found plenty of them. In fact, all the Gillespie, almost all the Gillespie that I know of, had fission
yeah, but
tracks.
how are you getting that stuff back from the moon from a film lot in California?
Well,
answer that.
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's a great question. I call shenanigans on this science trickery.
Pluto 26, Beryllium 10, a bunch of them that could only have been formed from a stellar nova. You have to have relativistic temperatures.
I don't know what this is, John here at me, Houston, but I'm going to pick it up because anything that stares at you, you better pick up.
Stop, Dave.
It's a glass, but in the sunlight, it's reflecting red, green, like a rainbow. On the first prism on
the moon's
John.
day now. Holy shit!
10 rock frags, a couple of which are, one of which is some interesting black glass along the sides of it. Another which is covered with black glass, and
I've done black glass one time. It wasn't a fun.
No, that's
wasn't
probably
a fun
why.
ride.
That's probably why no one lives there anymore, because all the black glass everywhere.
Yeah, nobody wants to live next door to black glass.
No.
Tricknology, yes.
John?
Tricknology. That's what Yakub said. The white folk
one of those fractures that's
learned
included with the
to
glass.
trick black folk.
Yeah, so
What am I doing? I got the wrong picture up pretty
I
much.
think the after on this one will be pretty interesting. There's a rock with glass splatter all over its body.
That's better.
Hey, Tony, I just picked up one at it's in bag 15 that is has a black matrix, bluish black
It's
matrix with
Maker's
lamp-like
magic.
either class or phenocryst in it. And it's right behind the limb here. I don't know whether that's what we're looking for or not. Okay, that sounds good, Charlie.
This seems to be one of the main reasons. In fact, all these missions talk about this. They talk about this glass splatter.
Low
these
watermark
glass,
would be pissed at all
debris,
these guys' audio quality.
Samples they're picking up on the moon, which makes me believe that they were up there looking for glass splatters. They were looking for evidence of solar effects on the moon. And I think that the Chinese went up there on the far side of the moon to do exactly the same thing.
You didn't win Texas and you get a rattlesnake. Here you get permanently shattered soil. How about rolling that one over? No way. Whitish to gray with a lot of zap pits in it. Those
Vamp tits.
Those are zap pits, aren't they? Yeah. In fact, Tony, the whole area, there's a lot of this rock. There's a lot of this rock here.
These are interesting because they had a glazed surface on top, the 64455 sample. There was this glazed top on it. And then in another part of that sample, there were all these pellet shots in it. I think it's a very, very strong evidence path that our sun has a micronova event on a very regular period of time. And that we're seeing these samples on the moon as evidence of these events.
A consistency of reports from around the world of catastrophes that are amazingly similar.
Why are all these guys like filming from hotel rooms?
I know.
I don't know.
Oh, you know what? They're probably at a convention, though, man. He got him to talk to him after the speech or something that day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Similar. But a lot of people thought it's just what people dream up when they have a lot of time or they're dreaming or whatever. It's just stuff that people naturally come up with. Velikovsky thought it was catastrophes that people witnessed and remembered. That's very different.
What's called the 4 o'clock rapids, 56 concentric. Actually, it's less than that because these have started to undergo rotation. Here's one on the Navajo Reservation, Bronze Shield, 3rd millennium, Middle East. This is a 56 ray from Kazakhstan. Somebody locked the doors because at this point people are going to start escaping, but this is a 56 ray circle axis mundi from China. And these are actually drawn as paintbrushes. You know, the axis mundi here, the tree coming up in the center. But anyway, the 56 are there. In Arizona, it's the same thing. Pick that one up. This is unfair. I picked the penumbra of a dense plasma.
Oh my God, it looks like a human eyeball.
But it's a plasma, so we would expect it.
It's not what they taught you in school because they give it nice and coded.
It's all coming together, boys.
But again, remember, the people in the U.S. government who saw the sun flare up and get the information back from the moon when we brought the stuff back.
Yeah, I just hope it's a normal matrix and not the woke matrix like we watched the other night.
They didn't know when. They
the dude in the red dress was pissing me off.
See, our tools have shown us things that they couldn't have possibly seen 50 and 70 years ago.
Dome Ceiling, Fifth Street Church, Seattle. This is very close to the Forbidden City of China ceiling picture. These ceiling pictures show up, and they generally have 56. This is brand new. This is the Grand Atrium in Saudi Arabia, which is brand new. And again, they didn't draw circular, but they certainly put 8 times 7 panels of light around here, as well as some structure in the center.
If it's brand new, then it was just some architect that done it. Like, you need to look at the ancient stuff, right?
I think they're all paying homage to the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For millennia ago.
Modern day guys don't believe in any of this shit.
Bradley Schaefer, Anthony Peratt.
We're the only crazy
Robert
ones that
Schoch,
believe in this.
August Dunning, Douglas Boat, myself, and literally everybody in the Astronomical Society. And
if you believe in crazy shit like that, they'll kill you.
Can say that the Carrington event is probably nowhere near as big as the sun can go. The voices from the past supporting this argument come from the Maya, the Aztec, stories in India, China, pagan stories, Aboriginal, African, Polynesian, and those in the Middle East, many of which are recorded in the Bible. During that time, the tunnels were built. During that time, the petroglyphs were carved.
We're going to see how a pyramid really works. So,
Yakub approves.
I think we need to see this. This is very important science. It's only 2 minutes and 51 seconds long. Let me get some volume here.
The little alien guy. Yeah.
The dining hall. Eating a burger.
Well, yeah, that's the food of the gods, right? Go get you a smash burger, a fresh one, and tell me it's not the food of the gods. Figured that had better.
I had Five Guys today. It wasn't that good.
Five Guys sucks. I'm telling you, go to Freddy's. If you got a Freddy's by you,
Five-finger Freddy's.
No, the burger place.
It's like a Culver's for the South, dude.
It is so good though.
Holy fuck!
How they work, man? How we can't figure them out.
Makes sense.
Well, that camel's got grass growing.
Your Freddy sucks,
wow, they
man.
played a song from
awesome, Doc.
They played a song from Excalibur. Cool.
Which they'll probably hit me for.
Bum 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I'm gonna sing over it, right? So we get the same effect without the hit. Bum, bum, bum,
I can fix it. I can fix it.
Bum.
No, that doesn't
What a dick.
Here we go.
Oh, the Eiffel Tower is going to take off too?
I mean,
no, this is.
Oh no, they're going to destroy it. Yeah, get that.
These are evil aliens, man.
Get that frog shit out of here. We don't need that.
Why are they using Chinese planes?
I don't know.
China's the only one that can fight them.
Oh shit!
Oh
this
damn!
is like,
they got a shield.
Oh wow! This is exactly like fucking that documentary.
Independence Day.
Yeah, Independence Day.
I don't know if it's exactly like it, but it's similar.
Pretty close.
Oh, and then they're going to the pyramid in the Louvre. That's gonna
The Louvre.
Yeah, the Louvre.
The Louvre.
Okay. Obviously, I've been saying it wrong my whole life.
There's an R in it.
Well, guys, that's how a pyramid works. Now, if that's not a conspiracy theory, I don't know what is. Flying pyramids, which would make sense, though. I mean, it makes as much sense as what the fuck is.
Here's the pyramid right here. It's going to take off.
It is Enlil who is enticed by the aroma of roasting meat, eventually agreeing to spare humanity, forgive Enki, and bless Zusudra and his wife. Conversely, in Genesis, Noah builds an altar to Yahweh and sacrifices animals upon it, with Yahweh being the one who smelled the pleasant aroma. An argument can be strongly presented in.
Do you think it's odd that Yahweh and then the thing that brought the internet to the masses was Yahoo?
What? It was AOL that brought the
Shut
internet
up.
to the masses.
Do you know what the biggest search browser in the world, though, is? Google.
DuckDuckGo.
It just hasn't made it across the ocean yet.
In favor of such an identification.
And look, this is actually Aquaman.
I was gonna make that joke. Damn it, Jim.
Gotta be quick on your feet.
There was a first among equals in relation to the two half-brothers, sons of Anu. The first one was Enlil. Despite the fact that Enki was the first to come to Earth, it was Enlil, Lord of the Command, who assumed the role of chief of the Anunnaki on Earth. This situation aligns with the statement in Psalms chapter 97, verse 9. For thou, O Yahweh, art supreme over the whole earth. Most supreme art thou over all the Elohim. The elevation of Enlil to this status is detailed in the Atrahasis epic in the opening verses. Before the rebellion of the gold-mining Anunnaki, Anu, their father, was the ruler. Their commander was the hero Enlil. Their warrior was Ninurta. Their provider was Marduk. They all clasped hands together, cast lots, and divided. Anu ascended to heaven. The earth to Enlil was made subject. The bounded realm of the sea to princely Enki they had given. After Anu had gone up to heaven, Enki went down to the Apsu. After Anu, the ruler of Nibiru, returned to his home planet
in Memphis, that used to be a basketball stadium and all that shit, is now a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah. It's the greatest thing America's ever done.
I mean, I did not know this was a thing. I gotta show this. This is fucking great. Look, guys, America.
You share it.
Oh my God.
Share it.
Oh. Weird. All right.
Yeah, that's fucking America.
That's America. It's got the Ducks Unlimited Water Fowling Heritage Center.
Yeah.
Man, think of the floor space, man. Holy shit. They don't have very many boats out front, though.
Well, the boat center's usually in the back. Those are just like display.
I understand, but I go to the Bass Pro Shop in Rogers, Arkansas, and there's more fucking boats sitting outside. And a lot of ATVs. Fuck. They sell a lot of ATVs, and they're super inexpensive compared to everybody else's ATVs. Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
I would think STDs would be more of a problem there in Arkansas.
How dare you? How dare you? Jesus Christ.
Following a visit to Earth. It was Enlil who took charge of convening and leading the council of the great Anunnaki. Whenever important decisions needed to be made, during critical junctures, such as the decision to create the atom, the division of Earth into 4 regions, the establishment of kingship to serve as a mediator between the Anunnaki deities and humanity, and times of conflict among the Anunnaki themselves, which sometimes escalated into wars and even the use of nuclear weapons. The Anunnaki who determined destinies gathered to exchange their opinions.
No.
The proceedings were usually conducted in an orderly manner, with Enlil giving each council member an opportunity to express their views, except for instances when disagreements became intense and led to shouting matches. The Bible, a monotheistic text, occasionally portrays Yahweh.
Just hit the L or the J button real quick. I want to look at this circle they're sitting on. I wonder if there's 56 slots here.
Oh, of course, it's got to be 56.
It better be, because that makes both of these videos being played at the same time make even more sense, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. We're good.
Except for instances when disagreements became intense and led to shouting matches. The Bible, a monotheistic text, occasionally portrays Yahweh as presiding over a council of lesser deities known as B'nai Elim, or sons of gods. In the book of Job, the story of a righteous man's suffering begins with Satan suggesting a test of faith to God, with the sons of the Elohim presenting themselves before Yahweh. Psalms chapter 82 verse 1 describes how the Lord stands among the gods to judge, while Psalms chapter 29 verse 1 calls on the sons of gods to give glory and might to Yahweh, bowing before his holiness. This concept of divine hierarchy, where even the sons of gods bow to the Lord, is reminiscent of the Sumerian depiction of Enlil as the commander-in-chief, with the Anunnaki and Igigi humbly submitting to his authority. Enki, the creator of humanity, was known for being more lenient and understanding towards both gods and mortals. On the other hand, Enlil was much stricter and had a law and order approach, showing no hesitation in delivering.
Well, he's probably angry because they cut his fucking arms off.
No shit. I mean, look at this poor guy. Yeah, you're a god, but you can't whack it, dude. Like, fuck.
They didn't cut his arms off. He was born that way. It's a disability.
Oh, we're making
he was the middle.
Come on, Jim. I believe in you.
Yeah.
I can't say that word.
Come on, Jim.
Thermilolide? What the fuck is it?
I have no clue what you're trying to nail down.
Thalidomide babies? Fuck. Son of a bitch.
Guy to get a fucking parking space in front of a store.
Flumidomide.
Keep it.
Something like TH Ilmidomide or something like that. Flumidomide. You don't know what I'm talking about?
What they call a person with when they get that birth defect, right?
Yeah, that drug that the stuff that was like an additive they were putting in food and they didn't test it on pregnant women, and so it made all these like
in the 80s. Yeah, that was fucking horrible, dude.
Flumidomide or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I know where you're at now. Yeah, he does. He probably does have a flipper on his back or something.
Yeah, I think it's flumidomide.
Just
delivering punishments when necessary. He disapproved of the intermarriage between Nephilim and human women, and was willing to see humanity perish during the deluge, when their behavior became too wicked. Even with his own children, such as his son Nannar, Enlil was harsh and uncompromising.
His son was an Enner?
Thalidomide.
Flumidomide, yeah, flumidomide.
Thalidomide.
Flumidomide.
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 Say it slowly.
Thalidomide.
Did you look that up on Google?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Banker's got to get paid, man.
Yeah, I pulled up Google.
As seen when he lamented the impending destruction of his city, Ur. Enlil's response was firm. Ur was indeed granted kingship, but an everlasting reign it was not granted. Enlil's character exhibited another facet, one that was truly rewarding. As the people diligently carried out their duties, displaying honesty and reverence towards the gods, Enlil, in turn, ensured the welfare and prosperity of both the land and its inhabitants.
They were giving
the Sumerians affectionately referred to him as Father Enlil and Shepherd of the teeming multitudes.
Yep.
A hymn praising Enlil, the all-beneficent, emphasized that without him, no cities or settlements would be established, no livestock shelters or sheepfolds would be constructed, and no rulers or high priests would emerge. This hymn also highlighted Enlil's crucial role in approving the selection of kings and overseeing the lineage of the priesthood, which extended from the sacred precinct of Nippur, the cult center. Enlil exhibits two specific traits: strictness and punishment for transgressions, as well as benevolence and protection when warranted, that are akin to the depiction of Yahweh in the Bible. It was Yahweh who determined the appointment of priests and set forth the guidelines for kingship in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 16, clearly indicating that he would be the one to choose the king, just as was the situation centuries after the Exodus, commencing with the selection of Saul and David. In all these respects, Yahweh and Enlil resembled each other. Quote, significant, too, for such a comparison was the importance of the numbers 7 and 50. They are not physiologically obvious numbers. We do not have 7 fingers on a hand. nor does their combination fit natural phenomena. 7 times 50 is 350, not the 365.25 days of a solar year. The week of 7 days approximates the length of a lunar month, about 28.5 days, when multiplied by 4. But where does the 4 come from? Yet the Bible introduced the count of 7, and the sanctity of the 7th day as the sacred Sabbath, from the very beginning of divine activity. The accusation of Cain was to last through 7 times 7 generations. Jericho was to be circled 7 times so that its walls would fall down. Many of the priestly rites were required to be repeated 7 times, or to last 7 days. Of a more lasting commandment, the New Year festival was deliberately shifted from the first month Nisan to the 7th month, Tishrei, and the principal holidays were to last 7 days.
I mean, a Nissan's
the number 50
not that
was the
great,
principal
though, back
numerical
then,
feature.
so
What's
I
that?
see why they changed. I said Nissans were not that great back then, so I see why they shifted it from the Nissan. You know?
They were always hard to shift out of first gear.
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, modern Nissans are better, but I don't think they're going to shift the new year back to Nissan. You know what I mean? You can hit play now.
Feature in the construction and equipping of the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle, and an important element in the future temple envisioned by Ezekiel. It was a calendrical count of days in priestly rites. Abraham persuaded the Lord to spare Sodom if 50 just men would be found there. More important, a major social and economic concept of a jubilee year in which slaves would be set free, real property would revert to its sellers, and so on, was instituted. It was to be the 50th year. Ye shall hallow the 50th year and proclaim freedom throughout the land, was the commandment in Leviticus chapter 25. End quote.
Wait a minute.
Mesopotamia.
Wait. So they're saying that every 50 years you're supposed to give stuff back to the people you bought it from?
That's the way it was.
Is that how the bankers keep the money?
That's how that's why the bankers don't really follow any of the biblical traditions. Why they wrote the Talmud 70 years after.
Wait, I thought that was the towel heads.
No. Towel heads actually came later than that.
Not the Talmuds?
Not the Talmuds. Talmuds came first, but then the towel heads came afterwards. Just got to pay attention to your history, you know?
Mesopotamia associated both numbers, 7 and 50, with Enlil. He was known as the god who is 7 because, as the highest-ranking Anunnaki leader
Wait, what the fuck? They were messing around with someone who was only 7?
Well, that was the towel heads.
On Earth, he was in command of the planet, which was the 7th planet. In the numerical hierarchy of the Anunnaki, Enlil held the numerical rank of 50, while Anu held the highest numeral 60, and Enki's numerical rank was 40. When Marduk took over the supremacy on Earth circa 2000 BC, one of the measures taken to signify his ascendancy was to grant him 50 names, signifying his assumption of the rank of 50.
How would you remember all of them?
Quote, the similarities between Yahweh and Enlil extend to other aspects, though he might have been depicted on cylinder seals, which is not certain, since the representation might have been of his son Ninurta. He was by and large an unseen god, ensconced in the innermost chambers of his ziggurat, or altogether away from Sumer. In a telltale passage in the hymn to Enlil, the all-beneficent, it is thus said of him, when in his awesomeness he decrees the fates, no god dares look at him. Only to his exalted emissary, Nusku, the command, the word that is in his heart, does he make known. End quote. While the viewer may have just considered the reasons for equating Yahweh with...
Wait a minute. I think we just figured out who's been speaking for Joe Biden all this time.
Uh-oh.
Because he always used to say, end of quote.
Very true.
This shit was so funny. End of quote. Come on, man. But he was, hey, everybody on the left said he was perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Nothing was wrong with greatest president ever, Dave.
Greatest. Long live the greatest president ever. Think
God,
he'll make it? You think he'll make it to January?
I hope he makes it longer than Jimmy Carter. Oh my God, you remember the Jimmy Carter shit they were pushing a couple weeks before the elections? Jimmy Carter is hanging on so he can vote for Kamala.
Really?
The last person, yes, yeah, that was all over the news.
With Enlil, it is important to now present evidence that suggests otherwise. One of the most significant biblical titles for Yahweh is El Shaddai. Its etymology remains uncertain, but it has taken on an air of mystery over time and has been associated with Kabbalistic mysticism. Early Greek and Latin translations of the Hebrew Bible translated Shaddai as omnipotent, leading to the King James translation of El Shaddai as God Almighty, in stories involving...
What?
I didn't know it was going to be a Bible class. Holy shit. Like, there's a lot of Bible stuff that they're referencing.
Okay. The patriarchs, such as in Genesis chapter 17, verse 1. Recent studies of Akkadian suggest that the Hebrew term is linked to Shadu, meaning mountain in Akkadian, indicating that El Shaddai could simply mean God of mountains. This interpretation is supported by an incident in 1 Kings chapter 20.
Wait a minute. God of
El
mountains?
Shaddai is nowhere in the Bible. That's what I thought. I was like, I've read the Bible. I had to in school.
Well, no,
right?
that was before it was translated.
Right.
Really?
That's in the original Akkadian.
Yeah, so they translated El Shaddai to the
God Almighty.
JHWH, the Yahweh.
No, God Almighty.
Shenanigans.
What you just said. Shenanigans.
Yeah,
but I was just going to say, because he said something about God of the mountains. Now, wouldn't that be Zeus from Mount Olympus?
That would be Zeus from Mount Olympus, exactly.
So weird, right?
Yeah, it's very weird.
Very weird.
Weird.
What's with these squiggly lines?
Them's Jewish lines.
Where the Arameans recognized the Israelites' strength in mountainous terrain. Enlil, on the other hand, could not have been associated with mountains, as Mesopotamia, his domain, is a region of plains. The mountains in Enlil's realm were located in Asia Minor, associated with his son Adad, whose Sumerian name was Ish-Kur. Scholars often discuss Adad, known as Teshub to the Hittites, as a deity associated with storms, depicted with lightning, thunder, and wind, and revered as the god of rains.
Okay, so he just said a god of lightning, thunders, and storms, god of the mountains. Wouldn't that be Zeus?
That'd be Zeus. Or Thor.
Well, yeah, could be.
If he brings up a hammer, then it's definitely Thor, right?
Definitely.
What if Anki is Loki?
Oh, and he's tricking all of us?
Yes. Trickonology.
And it goes back to Yakub. Every time I'm telling y'all the true story of man is Yakub. Y'all ain't got to believe me.
Similar attributes were attributed to Yahweh in the Bible. Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 13, described Yahweh's voice as causing rumbling waters in the skies, storms from the ends of the earth, lightning with rain, and winds from various sources. The Psalms, chapter 135, verse 7, the book of Job, and other prophets also emphasized Yahweh's role as the giver or withholder of rains, a role first revealed to the children of Israel during the Exodus. While these similarities may suggest a connection between Yahweh and Enlil, it is important not to assume that Yahweh was simply a mirror image of Hadad. The Bible acknowledges Hadad, as spelled in Hebrew, as one of the other gods of foreign nations, not of Israel, and mentions kings and princes in neighboring capitals who were known as Ben-Hadad, son of Hadad. In Palmyra, Tadmor in the Bible, Hadad was referred to as Baal Shamin, Lord of Heaven, leading the prophets to view him as one of the Baal gods of neighboring nations, considered abominations in the eyes of Yahweh. Therefore, it is clear that Yahweh and Hadad were not one and the same. The distinction between Yahweh and Enlil is further emphasized by another significant aspect of Yahweh, that of being a warrior. Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 13, describes Yahweh as going forth like a warrior, stirring up his rage like a hero, roaring and prevailing over his enemies. This sentiment is echoed in the Song of Miriam, which proclaims, "A warrior is Yahweh." Numbers chapter 15. Throughout the Bible, Yahweh is referred to as the Lord of hosts, with Isaiah chapter 13 verse 4, declaring, "Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, commands a warring army." Additionally, Numbers chapter 21 verse 14 mentions a book of the wars of Yahweh, documenting divine wars. In contrast, there is no evidence in Mesopotamian records to suggest a similar warrior image for
they're
Enlil.
just misquoting Bible
The title of
verses
warrior
like
par
crazy.
excellence belonged to his
They're
son
just
Ninurta,
left
who
around,
engaged
just
in
making
various
up Bible
battles
verses,
and
I
was
guess.
praised in hymns as Ninurta, foremost son, possessor of divine power.
Well, I guess it depends on which Bible you're reading.
Well, I've got my Bible app open I'm going from King James to NIV and the New King James. And yeah, no, they're I haven't found where they're getting any of these quotes from.
They're getting these directly from the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, is that it? Is that why there's? Yeah, okay, I get it. But well, I don't have access to the actual Dead Sea Scrolls, so they got me.
Powers. Hero who carries the divine brilliant weapon. His exploits were chronicled.
Wow, look at these tridents. Like, what was that? What was his name?
Aquaman?
No, well, Aquaman, but what's also the guy's name? Zeus was Zeus, and what was it? The sea dude.
The sea dude?
Fuck, man. I can't, my brain is fucked up today.
The sea dude was, fuck.
Neptune? No.
Jason Momoa is the guy you are thinking of. That's the guy who played Aquaman.
Poseidon.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks. What's up, Jimmy? How are you?
Oh, okay, was it Jason Momoa? Okay.
What's up, Jim Wong? Hey, Jim, when you play this again, check the private chat.
Okay.
Chronicled in an epic text known as the Book of the Feats and Exploits of Ninurta.
I don't think we have, but you and Jim may have.
Ninurta, the foremost son and heir apparent of Enlil, held the same numerical rank of 50 as Enlil himself. This made him equally qualified to decree the 50-year Jubilee and other 50 related aspects mentioned in the Bible. Known for possessing a divine black bird.
I don't think we played that before, Dave.
Yeah, I haven't. I've been on here when we played it.
I'd like to see it. Yeah, we need a little brevity here. This is very holy shit, man. Like, I got to laugh at a goldfish for 5 minutes. Holy crap.
The Y-Files is brought to you by Factor. At the height of the space race in the late 1970s, the Viking probes successfully landed on Mars, collecting pictures, data, and samples from the red planet. It was so successful that Soviet scientists wanted their shot at glory, but their focus wasn't on Mars.
Okay, you see these scars on Mars?
Yeah.
You want to know how Mars got these scars?
Yeah, I can tell you how they got them. During a galactic current sheet plasmoid eruption throughout the solar system, it caused scars all over the planet, and we're going through it right now. It's going to happen again, and we're all going to see it.
A new scar on Mars.
Glorious. It's going to be called Star Wars.
No! I thought the Death Star just like crash landed there, and this is
what?
That's what I assumed, Dave.
What? Yeah. I can't hear you.
What did you say?
What? I can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
You said Death Star?
Yeah, the Death Star.
Death what? I can't hear you. The Death Star?
Not deaf. Not deef.
The big ball in Star Wars crashed into this planet, and now we see the tracks are left.
Or maybe it's like in that Men in Black where they just play pool with the planets.
We are the Men in Black. Something, something, something.
It was on its moon, Phobos, named after the Greek god of fear. After all, if NASA could land on Mars, landing on one of its moons should be easy, right? Well, it turns out Mars's largest moon was right to be named after the Greek god of fear. Because as barren as the landscape looks, as impossible as it is to live there, something does. And that something does not want to be seen.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now this some good stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, human. I have to give my 2 weeks notice. I found the...
Human, you gotta go to the grocery store. There's no food in this house. It's an emergency.
What do you mean? I just got groceries yesterday.
What, that stuff? You got nothing but meats and vegetables.
That's what groceries are.
Oh, that means I have to cook something.
Then just run out and grab something.
Just run out and grab something, he says. You know I can't do that. Last time I went out there, there were paps in the bushes.
Those were not paparazzi. Those were landscapers.
I know a pap when I see one. That weed whacker was a ruse. Listen, I'm so hungry I can eat a beaver.
And a trans.
Beaver?
You know those very wet things that live in our house?
I know what a beaver is. And by the way, that's not how that expression goes.
What? So hungry I can eat a beaver?
Please stop saying it. It sounds gross.
What? You telling me you never ate beaver?
Yeah, I don't really want to get that. Wait, you have?
Well, yeah, it has a very strong flavor, but it's really not bad once you get used to it.
Can you please forget about the beaver and just use Factor?
Factor? Oh, did you just slide your way into today's sponsor?
I sure did. Factor is a subscription meal service that delivers prepared meals to your door. They're fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in minutes.
What?
Do you like to eat beaver?
Yeah, but only if it's shaved.
Yes. Yes, you don't want a furry beaver. Furry beavers.
No, the hair gets caught in the back of your throat.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good thing. But
yeah, but you don't have to floss afterwards. So
you don't, because you live in Alabama. You don't have teeth. We understand. Okay,
right.
I mean,
no sell me and then criticize me. Damn it.
Beaver comes with its own flaws. No, Ben. Oh,
Ben. Normally, no.
I don't even want to know what that experience is. For a dude, he is gay. Of course, he hasn't eaten a beaver. Eating beavers. That's how lesbians are created, says Bipto.
No, that's from Munching Carpets.
Yeah, sure.
Mm.
Famous carpet munchers, right?
Yes. Yes. I like a big
will it fill this beaver-sized hole in my stomach?
Factor works with registered dietitians, ensuring that each meal is made from scratch, using only nutritious ingredients. They update their menus weekly and include over 27 meals with over 33 add-on options. And Factor is now owned by HelloFresh, so there's lots more meal plans to choose.
One of these companies, and they actually give you a free oven.
What?
Yeah. So you order their food, and they give you a free countertop oven.
Easy bake oven?
Dude, they're actually it's designed so when you get your package of meals, the dials are set to the exact time that's associated with that box or that meal. It's pretty crazy. And I'm like, it's free? And my wife goes, yeah, but the food is really expensive. And
yeah, so it's not free.
Well, my mother-in-law, she has it. She's like, she can't afford it because, you know what? We're talking about the homeowners association fees, Jim. She lived in this condo for 30-something years now. And she's gone from $300 a month to over $1,000 now. Just in homeowner association fees.
In a fucking condo. That's unconscionable.
In a condo where for 30 years they've never done any maintenance. So now that they're doing the maintenance, they just keep raising the rates because reasons. Like you stole all the money all these fucking years. And now the state, like DeSantis said, nah, motherfuckers, when that building fell, we're going to fix all these buildings. So all these people are panicking and they're making these 80-year-old people who are very fixed income. They got to look for a new place to live or something, or sell that place and do something else.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. All right, go ahead. Let's hear more about beaver.
Scientists and astronomers have long debated the potential for life on Mars. When the first probes landed on the surface, the outlook for finding life wasn't good. The landscape was barren. The atmosphere a reddish-green haze. This did not look like a planet that could support even the simplest life forms. However, After further study, opinions have changed. As I've shown on this channel, NASA has been taking some creative license with their photography.
Link below to the video about Mars and the NASA cover-up.
Right. The Martian atmosphere is actually bluish-gray, not green or red. And the surface of Mars used to be a lot like Earth, covered in vast oceans of water, liquid water, just like Earth. As you know, the Earth has a spinning iron-nickel core that creates a magnetic field. This field protects us from solar wind and radiation. Well, billions of years ago, Mars had a similar core, which gave it similar protection. But eventually, the Martian core stopped spinning, and without the protection of its magnetic field, solar wind stripped away most of the Martian atmosphere. The reason there's water on Earth is because our atmosphere is actually pretty heavy. When Mars lost its atmospheric pressure, its water evaporated into space. Well, most of its water. There's still water frozen in the Martian ice caps. Scientists have even discovered organic compounds in Martian rocks, compounds that are the building blocks of life. So if there are signs of life on Mars, what about its moons? Could there be life there too? Well, Mars has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, both named after the sons of the Greek god Ares. American astronomer Asaph Hall discovered them in 1877. Now, Phobos is the larger and closer of the 2 moons, but large in this case is misleading. It's only about 14 miles across. For comparison, our moon is 2,000 miles wide.
Our moon sucks.
Phobos is also oddly close to Mars, only about 5,000 miles away. Our moon is 200,000 miles away. Phobos is covered with massive craters and dents. The surface is dull with no atmosphere. It's not round at all. It's been called a giant potato. Phobos looks more like an asteroid than a moon. And for a long time, astronomers thought Phobos and Deimos were asteroids that got captured by Mars's gravity. Not only do they almost perfectly resemble asteroids, they appear to be made out of the same type of rock. But their orbit is so oddly close to Mars that scientists from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, proposed another theory. Instead of being trapped asteroids, Mars's moons might have formed in a similar way to our moon.
Oh, you mean created by aliens in a distant part of the galaxy and brought here to serve as a base of operations?
No, I'm talking about the giant impact hypothesis, that a large object collided with the Earth and the moon was formed by the debris from the impact.
Yeah, that's not how the moon was formed.
Well, I have my suspicions too, but let's stick with Mars.
Okay, but if you throw out more cockamamie theories, you're going to hear it.
I know, but you're going to like the theory about Mars.
We'll
Fish
see.
is the only banker I trust in the world.
If an asteroid strikes a planet hard enough to create debris, a moon can form, or in the case of Mars, 2 moons. And there's scientific evidence to back it up. Just like Mars, scientists have found inactive signs of life on the tiny moon. Possible remnants of microorganisms or DNA, aka the building blocks of life, Martian life.
Okay, you're right. I like this theory.
According to one of the lead scientists at JAXA, Phobos is an ideal natural laboratory.
What?
If Martian life once existed and was widespread elsewhere on Mars, the chance that it's dead remains exists also on Phobos is, in my opinion, relatively high. This is because numerous small asteroidal impacts on Mars eject Martian surface material, and the ejecta is relatively easily transferred to Phobos.
Another scientist on the team had a similar thought.
In my opinion, of all the chances for finding life as we know it in the solar system, the surfaces of Mars and Phobos.
They don't sound very Japanese. The fuck is going on?
What you mean I don't sound Japanese?
Oh, hello. In the solar system, the surface of Mars and the Phobos are best better. Horiko karakade.
Sounds like a bunch of white Westerners talking, not a bunch of Eastern Asian men talking. What the fuck?
Now you're just being racist, Dave. What are you doing, man?
Well, he said it's from JAXA. This was their theory. The Japanese Academy of fucking whatever. And he's got these
you know what? You know who's I heard a song about it. We're going to Jackson.
All right, Johnny Cash.
It's Johnny Cash.
Yeah, maybe when he put it in the AI, it's a Japanese voice. Too many like hard words for it to pronounce.
I had to translate it, so that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
Sorry, Crazy Cat
Phobos
doesn't like
are our best bet. Phobos is a time capsule of ancient Mars.
If ancient life existed on Mars, its moons could be the key to unlocking the Red Planet secrets. In fact, Phobos could be the key to unlocking many secrets. Even though it's smaller and less symmetrical than our moon, it has one surprising similarity. Like our moon, Phobos might be hollow.
What the fuck?
In the 1960s, Soviet astronomers started noticing Phobos' orbit wasn't exactly normal. It was orbiting faster than Mars was spinning, meaning it was lighter than expected, much lighter. A faster orbit also means the gravitational field was extremely weak. So weak that a 150-pound human on Phobos would weigh only 2 ounces.
Oh, how much would you have weighed on Phobos when you had your COVID weight?
I don't want to talk about that. The idea of Phobos being hollow gained traction in the 1950s and 60s. Russian astrophysicist Joseph Shklovsky and even Carl Sagan proposed that the moon's unusual orbit could mean only one thing: Phobos must be hollow. Not only that, but Shklovsky hypothesized that Phobos must have a thin sheet metal structure on its outside. In other words, Phobos is artificial, unnatural, alien, whatever you want to call it, and other scientists agreed. Dr. Fred Singer thought that a hollow Phobos was a perfectly sound explanation.
If the satellite is indeed spiraling inward, as deduced from astronomical observation, then there is little alternative to the hypothesis that it is hollow and therefore Martian-made.
Fred Singer wasn't a nobody. He was the science advisor to President Eisenhower. Even NASA admits the moon is odd. In their words, the interior of Phobos could be a rubble pile barely holding together. One Phobos researcher said the moon appears to be held together by a kind of mildly cohesive outer fabric.
Outer fabric like Martian sheet metal?
Could be. Whatever it was, astronomers and scientists from around the world were beginning to suspect Phobos was hiding some secrets. And the Russians? They wanted in.
Oh no, those dirty red bastards.
In July 1988, the Soviets launched 2 probes, Phobos 1 and Phobos 2. These were sophisticated spacecraft equipped with state-of-the-art instruments. The mission was to study the Martian environment and gather detailed images of Phobos' surface. And it wasn't just the Soviets who wanted this data. The mission was backed by 14 other nations, including the US. But the Phobos mission got off to a rough start. Before Phobos 1 could gather any data, an operative on Earth entered the wrong command. The probe turned away from its source.
Did you guys see that tweet I put in the private chat?
I did.
That guy has some bangers, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Umia? Yeah. How does he get away with that?
I don't know, but he does. I think he just doesn't care anymore. He says
I think
expecting his payouts, like his payouts on X have dramatically decreased since he started going hard R.
Harder. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, harder.
Source of power, the sun.
Someone fat-fingered the probe.
Yep.
Fat-fingered the probe.
Stop it.
No control Z, eh?
Nope. With no power and no radio contact, Phobos 1 was lost to space. But Phobos 2 was working perfectly, for a few months anyway. However, on March 28, 1989...
What?
Ben Tugwell said, show the tweet.
I mean, I don't think it'll get us banned, but it's not really cool.
I don't think it will.
It's not going to get you banned.
I'll send it to you, Ben. I got your X. I'll send it to you.
It's not going to get you banned. It's just not something that I don't want to be associated with it. You know, it's fucking racist. I mean,
he was showing us to warn us.
Although I don't know, because since that FEMA employee was saying how that since the people that were complaining about the government were Trump supporters, that's why they avoided all Trump supporters for this stuff. So that's why, because you have to notice patterns, and if a group of people are a problem, you have to just stop serving them. So then I just was wondering, when can we start talking about these other patterns?
These other patterns, that we see across the world. Some of them, some countries. Did you know that noticing patterns is actually illegal? If you notice certain patterns, and you can go to prison for it.
Yeah, there's one pattern in particular. If you notice, that if you notice in a certain country, that will definitely
get you put in prison.
Get you put in prison. I can show you the pattern.
I have no idea what you're talking
There's the pattern right there. That pattern will get you put in prison on that guy's arm.
Oh. And what country would that be in?
Germany.
Germany.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Noticing
Weird.
this pattern, well,
it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. It's completely okay. That pattern will never get you in trouble. But the other pattern,
which is
just as Phobos
been
2
around very, 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 very long. That symbol's been around for a long time in many cultures. He only picked it because it looked cool.
that would be great. God, I hope that's true.
I thought it meant not welcome.
who was preparing to make its closest approach to Phobos, something unexpected happened. It started going haywire. The probe signals weakened and it began acting strange. Instead of maintaining its steady course, the probe suddenly began spinning out of control. The control center couldn't explain it. This was space. Things don't randomly start spinning unless they're hit by something. They scrambled to maintain contact with the probe, but no success. Phobos 2 sent back one final...
Oh, wait, I didn't. Did you show this tweet? I just saw this. Have you heard the Japanese Prime Minister say the only way Japan can scare off China is if they got their own nukes? Well, we already gave them 2.
Yeah. What more do you want? Like, just play the footage. Say, look, we could do this to you, China.
Final image. Then everything went black.
There ain't no fucking land to Japan to build fucking silos. Jesus.
After days of failed attempts to reconnect with Phobos 2, the mission officially ended. The probe's sudden failure was allegedly caused by a computer malfunction.
Allegedly?
Well, before it failed, Phobos 2 had been sending data to Earth. The last transmission from Phobos 2 contained a series of perplexing images. And the last image Phobos 2 sent to Earth provided proof that it didn't fail because of a simple computer malfunction. Phobos 2 was attacked by a UFO.
What?
Get the hell out of here.
What they say.
After the mission ended, the Russian government kept the majority of the photos secret. But this was a multinational cooperative effort. The other countries involved didn't agree to the secrecy, to put it nicely. So after increasing pressure, the Russians finally released the photos taken by Phobos 2. Well, most of them.
I was going to say.
The Russians kept the last 4 frames of the photo dump classified. Seconds before Phobos 2 went MIA, it snapped a photo of its attacker. It depicted a long elliptical shadow cast on the surface of Phobos. A massive oval object was hovering above the moon.
Wait a minute, Jim.
The shadow shaped
that
inside.
Picture in many places before claiming it's a UFO.
Yeah.
That image is everywhere.
Radio waves aren't sound waves.
No, they're not.
Per se.
I mean, no, they're not. They're not.
They're not. They're electrical waves. They're not. You know what I mean? It's electrical. It's not.
Yeah,
sound.
the sound comes out of the.
I mean, they do have a frequency that if you could hear it, that frequency you would hear it, but it's not generated like sound. And space is not a perfect vacuum.
Oh, we know. We know.
Yep. We know.
Size could not be explained as natural phenomena. Some scientists thought it might be a shadow or a trick of the eye, while others speculated that it was an object. Either way, something was there that shouldn't have been. But without those last 4 classified photos, it was hard to know exactly what it was. Then, in 1991, Soviet test pilot Maria Popovich revealed one of those top secret Russian photos, and suddenly it all became clear. In the picture, a long elliptical object is clearly seen approaching Phobos. It's estimated to be 15 miles long.
On a recent sightings episode, we brought you information about the possible destruction of a Soviet space probe called Phobos by a UFO.
Phobos 2 was sending back pictures, as usual when suddenly the last picture from Phobos arrived.
On that picture, you could see Phobos, the Martian moon, and an oblong-shaped object. The object cast a passing shadow on Mars.
And it's interesting to note that these photos were taken with infrared cameras. Infrared is used to measure the temperature of objects. If the object were a shadow or trick of the eye, it wouldn't appear in an infrared photo. The question then became, what was it? And why would it attack the Phobos 2 probe and cut its transmission? Did it think the probe was a threat, or was there something it was trying to hide? Because Phobos 2 sent back another very interesting image. It was a close-up photo of a region of Mars, and in that photo is what looks like the ruins of an ancient city.
What?
They say.
Mars's tiny moon Phobos holds some massive secrets. Secrets that something or someone doesn't want us to see. Over the decades, probes and satellites sent to Mars and its moons have captured images of things that don't look exactly natural. Perhaps the most famous is the so-called face on Mars.
Face on Mars, link below.
The face is located in a region of Mars called Cydonia. It was first photographed by NASA's Viking 1 orbiter in 1976. Some believe it's evidence of an ancient Martian civilization.
What do you
Others think
about
it's
that,
a message
Jeff?
or a marker.
Does that look like something to you? Or
Sure.
I mean, does it look like something man-made is what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay. Just asking.
Just asking questions here.
Yeah. Like, do you think it is, Cynic?
Yeah.
You think
I
it's
mean, I really
something
do. Yeah.
Did you guys never notice that there's a fucking alien standing behind this guy the entire time watching him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that look
so-
there. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
The CIA sent him over.
Or left by alien visitors.
That's what I was about to say.
Could be. According to the Annunaki legend, not only did they stop on Mars on the way to Earth, they set up an outpost there.
Annunaki, link below.
Also in the Cydonia region and elsewhere, there are a number of objects that look like artificial constructions, including pyramids, obelisks, even the ruins of ancient cities. One of the most intriguing structures is a pyramid in the region called Elysium Planitia. The Elysium Pyramid is a massive structure that rises nearly a mile above the surrounding plain. Many believe that the pyramid's shape and alignment are too precise to be a natural formation. The only explanation is that it was constructed by intelligent beings. Other puzzling features on
Captain
Mars
Victor's
include
right.
the so-called
How do they know it's
tubes and
ancient?
glass tunnels
Could be their
that form a
modern
network
architecture.
across the planet's.
Huh.
Yeah.
This is where the sandworms from Dune live.
Didn't even think about that.
I thought it was a mound like we have all over the United States.
surface. Some say this is the work of an alien architect and evidence of underground Martian cities. Phobos orbits very close to Mars. If there was a civilization on Mars at some point, you'd expect to see anomalies on Phobos as well. And we do. Phobos has deep, uniform grooves. The grooves are not only parallel to each other, but they're nearly the same width, 700 to 1,000 feet. And they're the same depth, 75 to 90 feet. Not only that, but they're brighter than the rest of the surface, as if they were made from a different material. And over the years, new grooves have formed, grooves that suddenly appeared in between space missions. But it wasn't just a tiny moon holding secrets. The Phobos 2 probe also took pictures of what looked like remnants of a city on Mars. Again, you can see rectangular shapes and even grid-like straight lines, as if there were buildings and roads below. Now, scientists claim these anomalies on Mars and Phobos are a trick of the eye, nothing more than pareidolia, our tendency to see patterns in random images. Phobos' craters, too, are strange. The largest is Stickney Crater, named after the wife of Asa Hall, the man who discovered the moons. Stickney Crater is a massive 6 miles wide. It takes up almost half of Phobos' surface. The rim is so circular that it almost looks fake. Believers of the hollow Phobos theory believe that the crater is the entrance to the moon's cavernous interior, caverns potentially harboring alien life. And only a short distance from the giant crater is the Phobos monolith. It's 279 feet across and 300 feet tall. It's oddly bright and oddly rectangular. Nature likes circles and curves, not sharp edges and straight lines. American astronaut Buzz Aldrin even talks about the monolith.
We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there?
Some say the monolith is an artifact, a remnant of an ancient Martian civilization. placed near the crater as a beacon or marker. But there is another theory about the monolith, that it's evidence of technology, technology shared between worlds. Because there are structures on Phobos and Mars that are almost identical to...
I think it's smaller than Earth, but I'm pretty sure it's smaller than Earth.
Okay, but could you imagine a 7-hour day?
No, that's the moon. The moon goes around.
The moon comes up every 7 hours. You're like, holy shit. So the real question Jin Wong asked for 5 Australian is there on the opposite side of Mars a butt of Mars, like 2 huge hemispheres with the windy valley between them? Probably. Anything's possible. Have we seen the dark side of the moon or Mars, Jim? Is there a dark side to Mars?
Well, maybe.
I love when Jim does that. Well, maybe. In the conversation. He's not believing any of this, guys. That's the point. He's giving us the information that people are selling, and we'll see what he thinks about it. All right, go ahead, Jim.
Structures found right here on Earth.
Thanks for the 5 Australian, Jim.
In the Cydonia region of Mars, along with the face and what appear to be buildings, a number of obelisks have been identified. These structures seem to be arranged in a precise geometric pattern, forming a series of interlocking triangles and hexagons, too precise and too consistent to result from natural processes. But when you think of obelisks, you can't help but think of ancient Egypt. And you can't talk about Egypt without mentioning the Great Pyramid of Giza. And there's a theory that the Great Pyramid was not a tomb or monument, that it was an ancient power plant. And there's scientific evidence to support the theory that the pyramid created electricity, a lot of it. Nikola Tesla even tried to replicate this technology.
Tesla pyramid, link below.
So now we have to consider the electric universe theory.
Electric universe theory link. Well, it's below.
This theory says that electricity, not gravity, is the dominant force in the universe. Everything is part of a vast interconnected web of electric currents. Every planet, every star, and every galaxy, all connected. And that electricity is all around us, everywhere. Now, if that's true, the pyramids around the world, like those in Egypt, Mexico, Indonesia, and Peru, could have been tapping into this electricity field. This is zero-point energy, which exists in all quantum fields. It's all around us all the time. The pyramids could have harnessed that energy and transmitted it around the world to the obelisks, which were like power substations.
There's pyramids in China, Jim.
And if that's true, then the pyramids and obelisks on Mars could have served the same purpose. Remember, Mars used to have water and an atmosphere, just like Earth. And maybe the monolith on Phobos was another one of those power substations, harnessing zero-point energy and delivering power to whatever's inside. And maybe when Mars lost its atmosphere, it short-circuited the zero-point energy field connecting Mars to Earth. But there's no way to tell. No scientist will look into zero-point energy. Well, that's not completely true. Quite a few scientists have investigated zero-point energy. Some have even patented devices that they claim could tap into this energy field and provide free electricity to everyone, everywhere on the planet. We even have an episode coming up on these devices. But, spoiler alert, all those patents were seized by the government, and all the scientists are dead.
All dead. All Minecrafted.
So what exactly happened to Phobos 2? Why did it start spinning out of control? Why did Russia keep the photos classified for so long? What are the anomalies and who or what created them? Well, like the Mars episode, this one is difficult to debunk, but not impossible. Let's start with the facts. All the mystery surrounding Phobos 2's sudden failure is true. In 1989, Soviet scientists published a report in Nature magazine about Phobos 2's experiments. Only 3 paragraphs in the 37-page report discuss the probe's loss. They admit not only that it was spinning, but that it was possibly struck by something. Now, whether it was targeted by an alien ship, we don't know. But what the Russians downplayed was it was spinning before it got to Mars. Phobos 1 went dark, that's true. And Phobos 2 was malfunctioning the whole time. Because it was spinning, Phobos 2 was transmitting data all over the place. The data that did get back to Earth was messy. The cameras weren't working properly. The giant 35-mile-long cigar-shaped UFO, it was a data glitch. But the story is worse than that. Remember how Marina Popovich came forward as a whistleblower? She said that the image of the giant cigar-shaped craft was the last one sent before the probe went dark. Well, that wasn't true. There were actually 57 more images sent back to Earth for 2 more days. In those images, you see a white line going down the center of every frame taken with the infrared camera, no matter what the camera was pointing at. When Phobos took pictures of Jupiter, there's the white line again.
White lines, vision, dreams of passion, going through my mind, and all the while I think of you. Grandmaster Flash.
I know who it is. Okay, so there was no cigar-shaped UFO. That was a glitch with the infrared lens. When we look at the same pictures that aren't infrared, there's no object. Now, most articles and videos about the Phobos 2 incident will say that Marina Popovich was a cosmonaut who'd been to space, but she wasn't. But she really was a test pilot, and she was a rock star. She reached the rank of colonel and was the first Soviet woman to break the sound barrier. But she was also a big-time UFO believer. And whether she was lying about the image or just misinformed and excited, I'm not sure. But I am sure she wasn't a whistleblower. She had permission to show those photos. The Soviet government loved her. When she passed away in 2017, she was buried with full military honors. Now, also, to sell the Phobos 2 story, that clip of Buzz Aldrin talking about the monolith is often used, but it's never used in full. It's usually cut off at "who put it there," implying that an alien race put it there. But if you listen to the full clip, he thinks it's a natural formation.
When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe put it there. If you choose, God put it there.
You wouldn't fucking know,
The elliptical
Buzz.
shadow is a little harder to debunk. We do have newer images that show the shadow of Phobos.
I mean, that fucking guy lied about going to the moon. Why do we trust him?
I know. He has no fucking his words mean nothing to me. Nothing.
He also was it in this one or whatever? Was it in this episode or maybe it wasn't? But he also said that we went to Mars.
It was a different episode. We watched it.
Yeah. He said we went to Mars and we need in, and I want to go back there.
We want to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Mars, and the shapes are identical. Now, UFO believers will say this is impossible because the original Phobos shadow has sharp edges, but that photo had been retouched. Specifically, it was sharpened. If you look at the original unsharpened image, it looks exactly like current photos. It's not a UFO. Okay, but is Phobos hollow?
Yep.
Probably not.
Damn it.
Phobos was formed when a bunch of small asteroids clumped together. So while it's not hollow, it's full of caverns and empty spaces.
Oh, so it's
the grooves on Phobos are weird because Mars's other moon Deimos doesn't have them. Now, last year, a paper was published in the Planetary Science Journal. It says the grooves are probably caused by Mars's gravity, which squeezes and pulls on the moon. The grooves are where the parts of the surface of Phobos are falling into those empty spaces, causing channels and canyons. Now, this is a sign that Phobos will eventually be pulled apart, and this is expected to happen in about 40 million years.
Yeah, but what about the sheet metal skin?
Well, the paper addresses this too. When Phobos is pulled and squeezed, it throws up dust. Over millions of years, this dust settles fairly evenly around the surface. So Phobos is covered in a thin layer of skin, but it's not sheet metal, it's dust. Now, the monolith is there.
Yes!
But it's not an unusual feature. Monoliths like this are found all over the solar system, including our moon.
All built by the aliens for the space internet.
That could be aliens. I'm not saying it's not, but I am saying monoliths are common. They could be common because they were placed there. We don't know. The pictures of the city on Mars is probably pareidolia, but until we go there, we won't know for sure. Now, the glass tubes and tunnels actually were explored, and they're not glass tubes at all, just rock formations.
I get so annoyed when everything is debunked.
Well, I don't know if I debunked everything, but I think I presented enough information to help you separate the facts from a lot of wrong information that's floating around the internet. There's still so much we don't know about Mars. Regardless, Phobos is still a very interesting object, and scientists believe evidence of life could be there.
Right.
All we have to do is land a probe there and check. It may be a coincidence, but every mission to land on Phobos has failed.
Yeah,
but we're not giving up. This September, Japan is sending a probe to Mars, and that probe is scheduled to collect samples from Phobos late next year. And that probe could answer all the questions about this mysterious moon.
Snowing on
Unless
Phobos.
the aliens shoot it down.
Cool.
Yeah. He
Mars
does it
a
every
trip,
time.
man.
He does it every time.
The
Humanitarian.
only one he hasn't done it on
It
was
could have been the
fucking
same
crop
planet
circles.
owned by Yahweh, known as the Kabod. Inerta was active in the Zagros Mountains to the east of Mesopotamia,
Bastards.
particularly in the lands of Elam, where he was revered as Ninshushinak, the lord of Shushan city, the Elamite capital.
Ninchaku.
His great diking works in the Zagros Mountains and the diversion
Diking
of mountain rain channels in
They're
the
working on
Sinai
dikes.
Peninsula to make it
Oh.
cultivable for his mother,
Dikes don't like to be
Ninharsag
worked.
solidified his reputation as the god of mountains. His connection to the Sinai Peninsula especially through the irrigation system he established, is still remembered today. The largest wadi in the peninsula is named Wadi El Arish, after the Urash, the plowman, a nickname of Ninurta. This association with the Sinai Peninsula and his mother's presence there also hints at a possible identification with Yahweh. Another intriguing aspect of Ninurta that suggests a resemblance to the biblical Lord is revealed in an inscription by the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal, who once in...
I just want to point out this guy is wearing a wristwatch.
Yes, he is. Very nice. His wristwatch matches the medals on his chest.
It's not an Apple Watch, though. So
they like that symbol. Boy. He's like Jim. He likes everything to match.
Survived from the pagans of Ragnarok.
Yeah, the crop circle stuff was good, Jonathan Earl.
That I don't think anyone who studies the sun on long-term scales should really ignore if we're looking to answer the question of what can the sun do to the earth. Because it's one thing to look back at our ancestors and the stories they tell and say, you know what? You guys did a pretty good job inventing geometry, philosophy, architecture, but we're going to just take your most important stories and just going to that you guys are crazy and made them up. That's one giant leap, especially when they could predict eclipses. When somebody wants to build a lander that's going to go onto the moon or it's going to go onto Mars, they have to get as realistic conditions as possible, right? One of the Central Florida. We got a bunch of their soils, and we have a bunch here, but you guys remember, we've got a plasma lab, don't we, down in Georgia? The very first time he simulated what this solar flash would do to the moon, to the lunar soil, was absolutely incredible. And then he blasted it. This is the equivalent black glass that they found on the moon. The glazing of some of the rocks that are in there is the exact glazing that was found on the moon. This required no meteoritic impact. It simply required the equivalent of a massive CME or nova shell discharge, or even what is possible through X-rays going through the vacuum. What you got on the left there is a piece of muscovite mica. This was taken here on Earth. It is only the third ever found rare cosmological event, they say. All of the black stuff around there, those are normal fission tracks. That's real cosmic rays. That's what cosmic rays look like when they hit. But there's this exclusion zone around what they call the rare cosmological event. They know for a fact that it's not electrons or positrons, and they represent a residually input positive charge that didn't discharge outward, but it discharged from the center. And it looks exactly like the cosmic jet that blasts out of a star when it's born. It looks like the cosmic jets that you see from the center of a galaxy when it eats a star. And so how do you get a residual positive charge to basically bathe a crystal such that it takes it in and it can't discharge it out? It's still bathed in the stuff. It has to discharge in the center. There's actually missing atoms in the center.
My mom always promised me I could play video games.
I would argue that while not definitive,
maybe that's what they do here.
Something tremendous from the sun is not a terrible first hypothesis.
The galactic trigger, the dust and gas mechanism for superflares and recurrent nova, the evidence on the moon, the stories of our ancestors, the global nature of the disaster, all point to the sun as the destroyer. But is it a superflare or a micronova, and does it really matter? To look at this question, we will first investigate the recent history of magnetic events on Earth, starting with the one ongoing now. The key element in this overall process is one that has already begun to unfold again here, and the clock is ticking as we move deeper into the shift. We know that Earth's magnetic field has begun an acceleration beyond its normal wander, and coincident with that is the loss of field strength. Magnetic reversals as rapid as 80 years have been recorded in the paleomagnetic record, and we are already more than double that many years into the current shift. While moving more slowly than the record-fast reversals, things have begun to intensify. The Earth's magnetic field is currently decreasing by approximately 5% per decade, with the north and south magnetic poles set to meet in the eastern Indian Ocean. While the north is moving much faster, the south has already left the continent of Antarctica. The timeline is on the scale of a few decades to 100 years, presuming things don't accelerate any further. Seem impossible? Well, these are the current motions, and that is not disputed. But this magnetic meeting point scenario also has interesting coincidences, and not a one of them is bright and sunny. First, this region was an incredibly interesting place a few years ago, until the data disappeared.
All the information in this video is available for verification via the online buoy database maintained by NOAA. Buoy in event mode, south of Bali, For those who monitor the ocean, this is a familiar sight. The tail of this buoy starts with another and begins long before there was such a thing as Station 53046. You will notice the primary areas of coverage from the Solomon Islands, east to the Kermadec Islands, and up around to Sumatra, all locations of powerful earthquakes in the last few years, except this central 3, including 53046 in the middle. Like I said, our story begins with a different buoy, 56003 to the right, which has had a turbulent life, as you can see here. In October of 2008, they put her down, and it was barely a month before the wild readings appeared. She was immediately taken offline. During the time she was down, another buoy was put in, 56001 to the left, put down about 350 days later in October of 2009. She ran fine. 03 came back at a much lower sea depth, but in the exact same location before jumping back up in 2011. Station 56001 began deviating in November of 2011, and one must assume it was about that time they hatched a plan to add the third buoy to the group, 53046. It was a few months later in mid-2012 when she began to send back information. Within a few months, the action began. Short but significant drops in the sea depth. This channel began reporting rapid seafloor rise, and the buoy was taken out of commission by the Australian BOM. Clearly, it is back and in the exact same place, but when you factor in the further movement of the last 36 hours, more than 100 more meters, which is barely visible here at the end of the chart, we have officially eclipsed the 1,200 meter mark, or just about 4,000 feet. This could be volcanic, could be related to the fault destabilization described in many of our previous videos. It looks like this part of the world is a significant place to watch.
One of the biggest alternative news stories of that time was that a few days after this video aired, the buoy disappeared, and to this day, both it and its data are gone. Further complicating the story is that this region forms a geographically small triangle with the strongest magnetic point on Earth, the South Magnetic Pole, and with the Dragon's Triangle, Asia's version of the Bermuda Triangle. And indeed, that new pole position is near where those airplanes disappeared in recent years. Now, since one pole might reasonably be expected to emerge on the opposite side of Earth, we find that to be here, in South America, or perhaps just offshore, forming a geographically small triangle with the weakest magnetic region on Earth, the South Atlantic Anomaly, and the Bermuda Triangle, where airplanes may have been known to encounter a difficulty or two over time. So the magnetic poles are on a collision course, at a point near the magnetic maximum point of Earth in the Dragon's Triangle, with the other side of the world, where the other pole would be, happening to sit next to the magnetic minimum point of Earth and the Bermuda Triangle. This is not your normal polar wander. This is a true shift, and Earth is already down approximately 20% in magnetic field strength and decreasing. As if all these coincidences aren't enough, there is one more, and it is the big one. The Bay of Bengal Basin, just east of India, is now at the North Pole. The Pacific Ocean, just west of Peru.
He is very convincing, isn't
he? He sure believes it, I think.
Yeah, he is very convincing. I mean, but I hate when, like, you know, he has this data, but now it's been gone for 6 years. So do we even know his data is real? I mean, I don't think he's a liar, but do we know? They got to take it down.
I don't know. I gotta tap out, boys.
Yeah.
Which predate the Sumerians, but those are small gathering places compared to the vast civilization of Sumer, the world's first empire.
Gotta go too.
The Sumerians invented writing. They discovered the wheel.
All right.
Yeah, I forgot. It's almost midnight. I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to.
Yeah, I gave it a little longer than what